Okay. Hopefully I'm not muted. Maybe. I actually think I'm muted. Hold on. There we go. Now I'm unmuted. There we go.
Hi.
We're live. We did it. It was working.
Harune.
Yes.
We'll continue the conversation sometime else. Yeah, hi.
I'm totally professional and remember to unmute in Discord.
Yeah.
So, welcome everybody to the next episode of ObsidionTalks, where we talk about whatever I decide I feel like I want to talk about that week. Today we're talking about music with Harune and Yui. So you guys can introduce yourselves. So you guys have both had a pretty interesting history with music. I know Yui, you play guitar. I don't know if you had another musical history or not. And Harune, you teach piano, right?
Wait.
Yeah.
So Yui, why don't you tell us about like your history with music and stuff? I'm very curious about like what you've got as background.
Before I begin my history of music, I want to bring another musical instrument that I've been lately trying to practice. So give me like 30 seconds. Like how you can introduce
I hope it's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Let me grab mine too.
I can't grab mine.
Oh no.
It's very stationary and heavy.
Hello, Galactic Nova, Sarbs, a lot of new faces here. Hello and welcome to the stream. I hope that Yui's instrument is what I think it is.
I can't even pretend to know. Like, I can only expect the best.
I don't want to spoil it, so I'm gonna wait a second.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I saw a tweet about it, and I'm very excited.
Thanks.
But yeah, so I wanted to do this episode because I used to play music. I don't so much anymore. I'm trying to change that this year a little. I started playing music back in like 2006. I was, like middle school band kind of thing. I was in a marching band in high school, as well as like a symphonic band and jazz, actually. My jazz band in high school, I believe that we went to a like a music festival and placed 5th in the nation in like 2011.
Oh, ayo.
I obviously cannot do that so much anymore. My music is not as good as it used to be. And through college, at least up until I transferred in 2014, I was playing both as like one of the solo orchestra members for a long time at my parents' church, and then I was also playing in an orchestra for the local community college. So I have like a long history with just like playing music. A lot of my family tends to play music. Like my dad's in a bluegrass band. My mom used to be in a marching band. My brother could play guitar. My mom used to play flute. My sister played clarinet. Like a lot of my family is like musically inclined. So I kind of naturally like pulled into that. And while I don't play music as much anymore, like I can't play guitar for shit, but I still have always been very passionate about it. So I wanted to have like a talk with some of the few people I knew who were like really into music and stuff to kind of, get some different takes on it, some other histories about things, and maybe just talk about random things with that.
That's totally fair. Did I hear Yui? Did she wiggle back? Oh, okay.
Yes!
Is that? Is that what I think it is?
There we go. I love that we both had this. I knew it. I was like, yes. Stupid out of a tone.
It just looks like both of you are just making mouth sounds. Like, oh.
I bet none of chat thought this is how this music stream was gonna start. It's just.
Oh my god.
I've been trying to learn stuff. This is the most classy of things. Shirley is not surprised in the slightest. Frank, you're absolutely correct.
Oh my god, okay, I'll stop now.
Yui, I'm so proud of you. I've never been more proud.
Most beautiful instrument since the harp. My god.
It's just the perfect serenade to begin the music stream.
Heavenly.
Truly wonderful. This is the voice of the gods.
Although I will say, like, if there's ever been an instrument like more opposite of a harp, like if a harp is the instrument of heaven, like Otomatone's the instrument of hell. Like,
well, I love it.
We're in a fire pit. This is where we belong.
This is where it is. I'm cursed.
I can't believe I'm learning how to play this. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I have a redeem on my stream that's been up here for a while, which is something Insane's been saving for. Which for 2 million Arizona green tea cans, you too can request an Otomatone cover.
Oh my god.
And I will learn a song and I will get the whole thing done and recorded and I'll put it to YouTube.
That is amazing.
Holy shit, that's hardcore, man. I can imagine so much nonsense can do with this. It's just amazing.
You will get it one day, Insane. I might lower the threshold for that because it's so silly and I love it. I want to do stuff with this. But anyway,
like a community goal, you know?
Yeah, that could be a thing. I might do that. Community goal would be really fun. Just to pick some stupid, like Mimi is hell song is what I expect to be, like Megalovania or something else. So proud of you, Yui. Learning the memes.
Yui's done nothing but practice.
I need to practice more with it.
She's been wholly dedicated. My favorite theme.
I think the last thing I was trying to learn was what was it? It was like something from Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't even remember. Like, God. I want to take like a really like dramatic song and just reduce it to Otomatone. That's my goal. I Coffin Dance, I know. I have that one down. Oh, where is it? So you know. It's one of the few things I remember. This is exactly what you expected, Battlecourt. This is the music stream. Here we go.
Today's stream, what do you mean?
We're dropping the bangers today.
Only the best.
We are all professional musicians. I'm tempted just to play it and attempt to shittily play along with it.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll stop my nonsense right now.
No, totally fine. It's endearing in its own terrifying way.
It really is. The Otomatone is one of those that, like, when I requested this as like a gift for Christmas a couple years ago, my parents were like, "What the absolute fuck is this?" And I'm like, "The best thing you've ever given me."
You don't need to know, Garrett.
This is what the fun got me for Christmas. It was like, this is something you would never expect, but I hope you enjoy it or learn to enjoy it. I'm like, huh? Why do I have to learn to enjoy a gift? This like doesn't make sense at all. And then when the thing came, like, oh my god.
Now I have to learn to enjoy it.
It's. I mean, how could you not enjoy it? It's amazing. I've seen people do covers of like Ave Maria with it and stuff like that, which is. I can flip that out. Let me find that. I'll play it on stream because it is the stupidest shit. Yeah, Ave Maria Otomatone. This is like the stupidest shit, and it's my favorite thing. Just so chat can see what's possible with an Otomatone. I'm gonna play this on stream. It's wonderful. Happy Australia Day. Oh, I didn't know it was Australia Day. It's interesting. Chat, are you ready?
Beautiful. No, it's actually great.
I know.
Oh my god, it has vibrato as well. Holy shit.
It is intense. How do you even do this?
Singer refuses to enunciate.
can't even take it seriously.
Oh my god.
It's so ridiculous. I love it.
It's beautiful. I don't know if YouTube's gonna like this or not. It'll be fine.
YouTube will accept whatever you give it today.
Chat's like, I can't agree. Me either.
Oh my god, zooming in.
It's so beautiful. I'm crying. There's a tear in the eye. What? That's my alert. This is what I hope to accomplish one day. With
Oh my god, it's still going on.
I may have to send this to many music friends.
It's my favorite shit. So yeah, that is what's possible with the automaton. That alert killed me. I wish the alert was longer because it's that clip from the Mickey Mouse cartoon. He's like, "What happened?" It's just that, but somebody giving me a follow, and I'm like, "Yes, please more of that."
What does it take on me as well?
Oh god, I have to learn Take On Me. Oh my god, you're so good at this.
Oh my god, almost got it.
That's amazing. I wish I had my model so I could get leap motion going and just do the fucking dance, you know?
I love that song, unironically.
This song's fun. It's a good meme
I
song.
love that song. Yeah.
It's good meme stuff.
I'm trying.
So now that we have been thoroughly derailed by the automaton, Yui, what was your history with music outside of memes?
Bad Kirby, bad. Oh, sorry. The music.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I started my guitar career. I think it's like what 7 years already in total. I apparently my family has some musical background. My father's brother, aka my uncle, is Fredo. If anyone knows him, if anyone's watching from Malaysia, he's actually a really well-known celebrity back then in the 1990s, 1980s, about that period. Ish. Or is it 2000s? He was like nationwide in Malaysia. Well, my dad was involved with a band, a very well-known Singapore band called the Hijacks. That they are one of the pioneers rock groups or pop groups back in the 1970s, and they even traveled to like other countries in government houses to play for them. So I guess part of why I like music so much is because my father's side, most of them are musicians. Most of them. In fact, some of them are still pioneering music. Like one of them is apparently Singapore's like father of jazz in Singapore or something. He's
Wow,
like
that's really
certified
impressive.
and stuff. Yeah, so but my mom is not musically inclined or talented. She's just normal. But my dad's family, musician background, every one of them. So I guess some of them musical like blood rubbed off on me, and I decided to give guitar a go. Last time though, I wasn't a guitarist, I was a pianist. And God, I hate piano. I'm sorry, honey. I know you teach piano, but what happened was last time I wasn't really a good pianist, okay, a good student. I usually get into trouble with my piano teachers because I just refuse to practice. It's so frustrating. You gotta get your own piano, and then you gotta like open the piano, and then you hit the keys and stuff like that. It's so troublesome. But after that, that piano teacher was teaching me, got so frustrated. Like she was like, she was like to my mom, like she's like, you know, your daughter ain't gonna like pass the exam in this 3 months time because like I had a grade 3 exam. I was very young, so I was still pretty new. I had a grade 3 exam in like 2 or 3 months, but I was not practicing. I wasn't showing any signs of improvement and already paid for the exam. Well, so she was like, she actually washed her hands off me. I can't use her. She just went to my mom like, you know, I can't teach your daughter, and it's best you find someone else. Okay? I was really angry, you know, when she told me that in front of my mom. Like, she literally washed her hands off me. So I decided that the next piano teacher that came to me, I would practice 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
8
and
hours?
I became so... Yeah, and I became so good in the matter of like 3 weeks that I got a distinction and merit in the exam. And I
Oh,
skipped
thank
double
goodness!
Wow.
Whoa. Patsy!
That is some dedication. I don't think
Yeah,
I could
know,
ever
like,
sit
no,
down for
suck
8
on
hours
that,
doing
you.
that.
Yeah,
Well,
eat it,
actually, I did
lady.
the same for my guitar as well. Until I
Man.
played the guitar so much when I first started, until my skin tore. It was painful, but I still kept going because I wanted to impress my dad. He was so impressed after like 1 month that I could play songs he could never do.
Wow. I'm impressed because I'm like,
Your
shit.
fingers fell off!
But my fingers really hurt and all, like it's seriously painful. Like, you know, up to that, I never I never went hardcore anymore. Like, yes, guys, the power of spite compels me to just spit into my teacher's face. And
I feel that. Spite is a very powerful
yes,
motivator.
Is.
Oh, you have no idea, you guys. You have no idea.
That's
But yeah,
amazing.
so
Truly
thanks to all that.
inspiring.
So you gotta become better? Prove that you have gather your dark energy. Let the hate flow in you. Yeah.
Good. Let the hate flow through you.
That's right. Become a
Do it.
Sith with the
Become a
music.
piano Sith.
Yes.
You just learn Duel of Fates.
Oh my god.
That's
I bet
song is
only
great.
got
Yeah, my goodness. You think I'm deaf? No, your musical sense is deaf.
Watch me write better music than you could, even though you have your ears.
It's fine.
Anger is the best motivator thing. Yeah, I
Truly it
something
is.
about my background.
Yeah. So Harune, what about you? What were you doing to get into music?
I don't know what I was doing because I was a baby. Mama
No.
Renee was just like, oh, I do remember when I was 4 years old. Mama Renee came up to me one day and she goes, "Would you want to take piano lessons? Like, you know, you seem like you have fun every time you touch the keyboard." So like my parents had this little keyboard, this little electric keyboard. I don't know who they got it from or at what point in my life they actually received said keyboard, but apparently when I was like a toddler, so like starting from when I was 2, I used to do whatever I could to like get to the keyboard. So there's actually a picture that my mom has of me and I had like taken, so the keyboard was on top of like a small dresser, like a chest of drawers. And I had opened up the drawers and removed the clothes from inside the drawer and used the drawers as a step ladder to get to the keyboard. So I was standing inside the drawers, like trying to play the keyboard.
That's great.
Oh my goodness.
So
You didn't fall, did you?
no, thankfully. I mean, I was
Okay,
still
okay,
so
thank
light,
God.
and it was the chest of drawers was like very wide, so it distributed the weight very well. I guess I could have been killed, but who knows? Anyway,
It's a little dangerous.
But,
you knew music was a dangerous
Yeah,
endeavor
but
to your health.
You made it true?
but yeah, so I guess I had been like, plunking away at it. But you know what? I think like babies just want to do that, right? Like something you poke makes sound. Baby wants to continue to poke the thing that makes sound. Like I think that's just. So I don't know if I don't know. I feel like every parent's like, oh well, you know, my child is so gifted. They just want to play the piano all day. It's like it's a baby.
Yeah.
Of course it wants to play the thing that makes sound.
Gaga, gaga.
But right, exactly. Ooga booga. But Mama Renee was just when apparently 4 years old was old enough to make a decision. She was like, "Do you want to try piano?" And I remember thinking like, well, if I don't like it, I could always quit.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Ew.
And so I started when I was 4, and I was never allowed to quit. And my teacher was very, very strict, and she did not really believe in time off. And she believed in like a strong balance. Like for her, you know how like some families are like, your life is 2 things, school and sports?
Yes.
That was my family, or my from my piano teacher's perspective, like that was how she wanted all of her families, all of her students to be, except it was school and piano was more important than school. Like I remember she had me
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she had me take, I think that this must have happened more than once, but I remember the first time in particular, like she had me take a day off of school so she could take me, God, I don't even know where I was because I was in elementary school at the time, but she took me somewhere to like play for this group of ladies at someone's house.
Huh.
Yeah, but that was my day. Like I missed school for that. And like where my mom is, you know, always about like school's life, like you get a bad grade, you failed, right? Like you're failure as a student.
Exactly.
So yeah, so my piano upbringing was very, very strict. My parents had no musical background per se. Like my dad tried to take organ when he was little, like his mom made him, and he hated it. My grandpa though was in a military band during World War II. He played the saxophone. And
Sassy.
yeah, very. I can't imagine him playing saxophone, to be honest. But and then my mom's dad, apparently he was like just like a musician very casually, but he had like a vast array of different kinds of like Asian instruments that he would just every once in a while just pull out. Like I guess he had like a whole set of different sizes of beads. So like the Chinese flute. So like you can get them in like different sizes.
That's very hard.
Yeah, and I don't know if he played guzheng or I don't think he did pipa, but I'm trying to think of all the different instruments that he had, but I remember my mom telling me that like every once in a while when she was growing up, he would like take all of these instruments out of storage and just sort of like, he would spend the day kind of playing through a little bit of each of them. So
Right.
I feel like, so I guess I do have musical background, but from not my parents, but from their parents.
It's like Assassin's Creed, you know? Bloodline transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's
It's
fun
a
that
generation,
this is,
perhaps, but
like, this is such a common thing for, I think, all of us, because I said this earlier while you were getting your automaton, that my family history is very similar. Like, my mom was in a marching band in high school. She played flute and stuff. My dad and his brothers are still in a bluegrass band. My dad can play, like, guitar, mandolin, fiddle, like, a bunch of other stuff, and, like, most of my uncles can do the same thing. And when I was in, like, middle school, they kind of fostered this idea of, like, hey, why don't you try a band or something? Like, maybe you can play an instrument. And my older brother had already played, like, trumpet by that point. My sister had played clarinet, so I just picked up trumpet because it was, like, the easiest thing to get and to happen to pay for a new instrument. And so I played in, like, you know, middle school band for a long time, and I got fairly proficient in that. But I kind of didn't like band, mostly because I didn't like the people in it as much. And I think that's a mindset that kind of carried over through my entirety of, like, my middle school to high school career. Like, I hated being in band, but I loved music because I hated the people I played with.
that's a good problem to have, though.
So I remember, like, you know, I hit high school, I was in, like, the symphonic band, I was in the jazz band. Like, our jazz professor, I guess our teacher, he's pretty renowned in, like, the jazz community here in the States, apparently. I did not know this, but he, I think he eventually was, like, I think he quit working at the school I went to go teach jazz elsewhere, because it was, like, he was just in such high demand for a lot of other places. He had, like, a lot of connections.
I want to ask who the person is, but I don't want to dox anyone.
I can
Very
DM you
curious.
later and
Okay,
let you know what it
thank
is.
you.
But I remember that like he took us to like go do a recording. Like we like actually recorded an album when I was like a sophomore in high school.
Bro,
And
that's so
so-
cool.
Unlisted on my
Wow.
YouTube channel is all the songs we recorded as a sophomore in high school, the stuff we did. Now I think that we were actually better after this because when I was a junior, we participated in like a music festival in Savannah, and there were supposed to be 12 bands invited. We were band 13, and another
Whoa.
band dropped out, so we
Whoa.
began to like get in, and we practiced for months and months and months and months and months, and eventually ended up placing 5th out of like all these nationwide bands.
Nice.
Patty!
Yeah, it was fun. It was really, really cool. And I always loved playing jazz, like the music we play. Like I learned a whole lot about like music history and like famous jazz musicians that I still even now kind of remember. Like my music theory and stuff is garbage, but I at least remember like a little bit of like
Same.
the history and stuff.
I don't
Um,
have music creation.
Say
Music
it's
theory
okay.
is terrifying. It is. I took classes on it and I still don't understand it. It's so confusing.
I have a
Um,
very baby basic understanding of theory, and that was definitely
What is
all
music
4.5
theory?
years.
Like what?
It's
It's
music theory is
like-
basically just understanding the, like if you were to look at music as like a formula or like math in a way, music theory is like how you would set that up. Like it's understanding how each scale is set up, the different like half tones and tones and everything, like how basically everything is built
It's like
upon.
coding for music.
Yeah. It's so fucking
okay.
confusing. It's really, really confusing. It's really complicated. There is so much shit you could learn from music theory, and if you can master it, like it can help you do like improv stuff in jazz and everything else. Like that's why like I had to learn some of it, was because in jazz we had this huge influence on like improv, which I am terrible at. I am not even
Right,
remotely
no,
good at improv.
Same. Exactly. Like so part of my piano training never included improv or jazz or pop. My piano teacher hated those things. Never. She was like, when you train for piano, you are classically trained, which means that you work on your technique, you work on your sight reading and like dynamics and phrasing, things like that. Like you perfect it as an art and not just something that's spontaneous.
Yeah, I think both have like a lot of
so-
importance. If you were to ask
No,
me, just because like
absolutely.
improv requires, like it. I guess some classically trained people might view it as you're just playing whatever, but to
No,
be
I don't think anyone
actually
thinks that.
proficient at like
No,
improv,
definitely
it's so fucking hard to do because you have to have such a deep understanding of the stuff you're
Right.
playing, like the actual foundation
exactly.
of the music that's built up from that. And that's something that I could never get. Like I tried so hard, it was so frustrating. I was like, I'm not good at improv. I'm not a good jazz musician.
So like I took one of the classes that I had to take when I was in college was world music.
Yeah.
And we actually had what we call like a resident artist come in, and she was actually like a relatively famous jazz violinist.
Really?
Which yeah, I know it's very unique sounding. But so she came in, and sort of the topic of that day was how a lot of cultures are based on improvisation. And like you have your set formula, right? Like you have your set like base for the sound, and then you sort of just build upon that. And so piano majors are very scarce. Like I think my year was the largest year that the department had for a long time, and I think we were max 7 people. I think.
So
And
you
that was, like,
actually
the largest
majored in
number-
music in college.
Oh yeah, I double majored in piano performance and Japanese. So
Interesting.
Ooh.
yeah, so all of my classes that weren't Japanese related were purely dedicated to music all day, every day. So a part of this class, like I said, she came in, that resident jazz violinist, came in and she goes like, okay, well, we're talking about improv. Any pianist in here? I think I was like the only one. Yeah, it was me and one other girl, or maybe 2 other girls. I can't remember. But point was, there wasn't many of us. And she was like, sit at that piano, let's improv. And I was like, what? You want me to what? And she was like, what do you mean? We're in the key of F, and go forth. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. Like, I can't. What do you want me to do? Like, I know what a F major scale is. I can play the triads and arpeggios. I can do a 1-4-5. You know, I can do like plagal and authentic cadences for you, but like, what do you like? I'm not gonna just sit here and like make a song. I don't know what that means. Yeah, and she like she could not understand why I didn't get it. Like she was like, "Would you just go?" And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And it was like, it was frustrating to the point where like I was like sweating bullets. I was disgusting. I was like so put on the spot and like so nervous about it. And I thought it was just me. Like I was like, "Oh my god!" Like that was the defining moment where I was like, "Improv is so important." I am so mad at my teacher for having not taught me this. Like, you know, I take piano for over 20 years and I'm like this. Like, how dare, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And like I went to talk to another friend like after class, because like she was trained the exact same way I was, but we like didn't have the same class at the same hour. So I went to talk to her later, and she was like, "Oh no, I like straight up cried." Like she was like she felt the exact same way. She was like, I had to excuse myself after and just cry for a little bit, and I was like, oh my god.
I can feel that.
But,
when I was doing stuff in jazz band in high school, we did tours to like the elementary and middle schools, to like try to get kids interested in like joining band, because we were like losing numbers and stuff. So it was a big thing of like, because our jazz band was pretty well known in the community. It was like, hey, go do stuff. But one part of that was, hey, this is an auditorium full of like you know, a few hundred kids. Go improv in front of all of them. And I'm like, oh god. Oh no.
No, I won't, but thank you.
It was an absolutely terrifying experience that I would prefer not to repeat again if I had a choice.
Absolutely. I don't wish to relive those improv days. But if anything, like it forces you to have to think about like, this is a skill I definitely need to improve on.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you know, like just so that if you are thrown in that situation again, you don't feel the same way. I promise.
I only have one improv experience, and it was with my dad, because he wanted to do like, he wanted to teach me how to feel the music. And the thing that I learned from him was that improv is basically for pop, okay? It's really child bars blues throughout all the pop songs in history. Child bars blues is just how you feel the music, or you give the note to it. So like, I just played simple 4 chords, but my dad could go on and on non-stop on the improv part, because he scaled the chords, individual notes of the chord, and he could just go on the solo while I just kept doing 4 bars. It was so amazing.
You hear that, you're like, oh my god, like he's making this up on the spot, like. Bro.
Yeah. You know, what I've learned from my experience with
it. To me, I roughly got it.
Yeah. What I've learned from my experience in music is that people who tend to learn by ear, and who like kind of grown up playing music in kind of that way without like the biases of like reading music and sight reading and everything else, tend to be better at improv, because they can kind of hear and feel the music better, as opposed to just trying to understand like the technical like scale side of things. And that's something like I worked so hard to try to get it, and never was good. I couldn't do it.
You've got skill, like you have the power of the Sith on your side.
Yeah. I've heard you play.
Dark powers, I'll let it.
Your inner music demon is something to be feared.
Very, very true. But like, if anything,
determination.
Yes, you have to. Yui is filled with determination. But if anything, Yui, like your like sort of homebrewed experience and learning of music, like you were trained, like you did take lessons in terms of like how to read music, but like so much of your music experience was in the home, and it was like making music with your dad.
Solo play.
Yeah. And so I think between the 3 of us, you probably can like feel improv the best. Like I'm sure, you know, Obsidian, you know, you absolutely can't do, because you did jazz and you had to, but I'm definitely the weakest link here.
Like, I think how good are your improv is like when you hear a song for the first time, you already know how the next note is going to come. Like for Green Day's Boulevard of Broken Dreams, I understood the whole song the moment the 4 chords were being played, and I already could sing it.
Yeah, and that is a huge skill to have, because like that's something that I've always struggled with as a musician, is like when they would like go play a song, like, hey, what's this note? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the, I can't hear the note. I don't know what the note is.
The thing is, I am the same as you. It's like I can hear the note, and I know what will come after next as well, but I do not know the note. No, you know. If someone plays an F, and then I know what could come next or what would the melody be, but I don't know how to give the name to it.
Yeah, but I think being able to feel that and recognizing that, like, what would come next would be so important of a skill. Because, like, I personally am so bad at that.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Like, I mean, everybody kind of knows, like, you can, in your head, you can kind of listen to a song, and you kind of tell, like, when it's leading into something. Because it's kind of what the chord and the structure of the song is, like, kind of leading you into. Which is why whenever they use, like minor scales or, you know, things to create dissonance, like, why those are always like, okay, just end on another note, please. It, like, that kind of feeling is just like being able to feel the song and hearing it properly, but being able to, like, translate that into, like, what you're playing is so crucial for, like, improv and stuff, and I've never been able to do that. So you got it. You could be an improv musician, Yui. I believe in you.
I've been trying improv once in a while with my skill guys. Don't go. No. Yeah, bye.
Now go get your guitar and make us a song. Improv something now.
Make us a song.
I was memeing, but you don't have to actually, but if you want to. Nice. I wish I wish I could do stuff like that. Good job. It's great.
That's not me. That's not me.
Yo, that's good though. So proud.
Yay, Pachi. I could listen to that on loop for like 8 hours.
I mean, yeah, big same.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's like improving on my end. Like I already memorized like certain things and how to play them, and I mix it up the meat and stuff. So that was completely improv, Lamau.
Improv is just such an interesting thing, and I envy people who are able to do that like very readily. Because I mean, I tried, like when I was doing music, I always made this big focus on like trying to master tone. Because like as a trumpet player, the memes you hear about trumpet players are absolutely true.
I knew it.
Absolutely true. Like it was always like this thing of like, okay, I'll do it as a joke. So there's like a joke of like, how many trumpet players does it take to screw in a light bulb? 1 to screw in the light bulb and 5 others to tell them how to do it better. Because that is exactly how playing a trumpet is like 100%. Because when I was playing music, like we always had like, there's like a few of us who were like the first trumpets, like the people who were playing like the better parts of the music or like the higher portions. And it was always this like competition of like, who's going to play like the higher notes? Who's going to be playing this thing faster or better? And it was always this thing back and forth. And a lot of my like high school stuff was just this like rivalry between trumpet players. But I didn't care.
I have a question for trumpet people.
Yeah, what's your question? Let's go.
How do you guys actually blow and then play the thing? Do you have to blow in a certain way for the note to come out in a certain way?
Yeah. So trumpet is all about like supporting the note. It's a lot like singing.
All
in a lot
about
of
blowing.
ways.
Got it.
Yeah, it's all about blowing. Absolutely. So the mouthpiece does some of the work, and the type of mouthpiece that you choose, it can really help you reach certain ranges. Like I had to like swap out mouthpieces for like a specific range of notes. Like if I wanted to play like a lower one, there were mouthpieces that were better suited to dealing with like the lower range of notes. There were some that were better for tone, and a lot also is like how you personally play. So a lot of like, as an example, like how you should not, as like a person learning trumpet play is like look at Dizzy Gillespie. Right, so Dizzy Gillespie is like a pretty famous jazz musician, but the way he plays is like he would puff out his cheeks, and he was kind of known for that. But whenever you're trained, you are not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have like your embouchure and like the lips and stuff that you use to like form the note is supposed to be like very like tight. It's more of like a muscle exercise than anything else. Like when we were learning stuff, we would always like do exercises to increase our lung capacity, to do breathing better, to work on your embouchure and like.
Oh yeah, those holy shit.
It was such a mess. But a lot of like playing higher notes, for example, was all about maintaining that, but also supporting it with your diaphragm. So like a lot like how singing is, right? Like whenever you sing, you have to like support the note by breathing from your stomach in a way. and kind of doing that. So trumpet is, or actually most brass instruments are kind of the same. Of just you have to have both this like muscle support and also like the air support. So we would always be doing
So
like
it's not just simple
lung capacity
blowing, you
stuff.
need to have the blowing supported by your tummy so that the blowing can be more full, right? Full blowing, you know?
Exactly.
It's
A
not
full
just
full
chest
range of blowing.
But it has a range of blowing that comes straight from the bottoms of your muscle. Oh,
Full blowing. Oh,
It's a
my
very
goodness.
horny talk, if I have to say so. But
I'm honey.
so yeah, learning trumpet was a lot of that, just constant breathing exercises, and I was always bad at it. But one thing that I always focus on, whereas like I was very different from most other trumpet players in this regard, is that like a lot of it we're always focusing on like getting to the higher notes. Like trumpets are kind of known for screaming, is what we would call it, just getting to like these crazy high things and kind of showing off by doing that. And there's a lot of like famous trumpet players who are known for doing that. Like Maynard Ferguson would be one that comes to mind immediately. But I mean, it's kind of like a common thing for most of them. Whereas what I was doing was focusing more on like tone. So I wanted to make sure that I was playing stuff like in tune. Like I knew what my range was like and what I was capable of doing. And I'm like, okay, instead of trying to like get to that higher level and compete with these people who are obviously doing this better than me, I should just focus on what I'm doing now that I can reach and try to play it a little bit better and more in tune. And playing in tune was like really hard. So what I would do is like my practice, what I would always like play along with like stuff from movies. Like I remember I played along with like some stuff from Van Helsing, because there's like some really cool trumpet parts, like more melodic, like ballads, I guess, towards like the end of the movie. And I was like, let me just play along with that. It's a fun, dumb vampire movie, but you know, it has some good tracks in it. So I was like, let me just play along with some of this stuff. I played along with Jurassic Park stuff all the time, because of course I did.
Oh my god!
So
I'm very triggered Jurassic Park because my friends always make fun of me with that stupid theme song whenever I do something stupid.
it's fine. I think that's actually a really good, like, I know I mentioned this before, like, off stream, how we were going to talk about, like, how to, like, best ways to learn music. I think for what I did was always just playing along with people who were better than me. So playing along with music, soundtracks, and stuff like that for movies. Like, I have, like, just in my personal library of music, I have just this shitload of music from huge variety of movies. And I use those as, like, methods to teach myself how to play in tune. So I would learn the thing, I'd, like, learn it by ear, and then I would try to play and match them whenever I would play with them. Which is easier said than done. The Hugh Jackman movie, Foxtrot. That's the one. Not the anime. I have seen the anime, though. I like the
Wait,
movie.
that's the
Okay,
anime?
hush. Yeah, there's the Helsing movie, and then there's Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman. And I'm talking about the Van Helsing movie, because it's fine. It's just a stupid monster movie, but I enjoy it. But yeah, so that's how I learned stuff, was just like having my jazz teacher like re-ate me for doing stupid shit, and then also playing along with like actual like famous pieces. Yeah, it's not very good. You're right, Tiffany. It's not a very good movie. It's fine though.
Wait, how long have you been with your jazz teacher? Like,
I played jazz for 4 years, which was my entirety of high school. We had like auditions and stuff, and then I went and we started playing in that. So I was like, as far as like how they organized the trumpets, like I was one of like the lower ones, because I couldn't like hit the higher notes for like the upper pieces. They kind of like put me down towards the lower parts, which was fine by me, because I was like, I'm playing my part as best I can, and the lower parts are so important for jazz, or actually for almost any piece of music, because like the higher parts, like yeah, you get really high treble, but yeah, you got to get like the bass support. Like you have to have that firm foundation, and people kind of like, especially with trumpets, they're like, I don't want these lower parts. I want to show off. I want to be the thing. But
No,
it's
I would
so
hate that.
important. It is so important to play those lower parts and like be there to support the higher parts. And I feel like there was a lot of like competition when I was in band of like not recognizing the importance of those lower parts and why you should play those and support them. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely, Yui. Gotta have the right bass support for higher parts to blow nicely.
exactly, you're right.
It's good. But yeah, playing brass instruments was a very interesting thing. I cannot say that I can play any of the other brass instruments like tuba or trombone or anything, even though they all kind of work fundamentally the same, like the embouchure and support and everything else. They all have their own unique things, but I think like the tubas are actually the ones that need a lot more of the support more than anything else, because like the lower the instrument, the larger the mouthpiece is. So if you ever look at like a tuba mouthpiece, it's fucking massive. Like it's huge. and it requires so much support in how you do stuff. Is just I could never do it. I don't think. It's crazy. I don't have
This
chat.
wants me to repeat my statement. So, yeah, no. Yeah, exactly as what you mentioned, you know, every song piece always need a good bass, so that the melodies or the higher tones can have a proper support. So in your case, you know, gotta have the right bass support for the higher parts to blow nicely. Happy now, Isu?
Are you proud of yourself, Asu? Getting this for posterity later?
Yeah. We need context. Do you though?
Are we sure? Yeah, be sure you blow nicely.
Out of context is generally where the gold is.
No, but to be honest though, I didn't know that, you know, when you play saxophone or any of the trumpet instrument, it's basically how you pitch your notes through blowing in the pipe. I thought it was like a recorder, you know? You cover the holes and then, you know, you come up something different. And like, I'm not using your blowing noise to actually make a note. Damn.
Yeah, like the actual mouthpiece and like
like
the... Like, I guess you could say making a note on trumpet is like taking your lips together and going... Like doing that. It's basically doing that but into a mouthpiece.
Yeah,
I see. Now I know better. Now I know. Thank you. All this time I didn't know. I was like, I never had a chance to hold one, you know? And I could hold one. They didn't let me try because I was too young or something, and I'm like, oh, fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. They require a lot of work and maintenance as far as like just actual instruments, because like you get like the spit gets inside the instruments. You get like there's a little like spit drain things to get rid of that, which is gross, but like you have to do that, and it'll build up inside. Like you'll have to like do regular cleaning with the instrument as well, because you'll get stuff like inside the instrument. And this happens for like all instruments, like saxophone as well. Like you'll get like a spit build up, and that'll get like mildew and stuff in it if you're not careful, and you have to constantly clean it and maintain it. If you don't like oil the valves properly, they'll get stuck and it'll make it harder to play. Rena, I don't have a can. I haven't bought a can in a while. I'll play a video for you. How about that?
I got something else.
There we go. You want to hear cans?
Better.
Let me look up a can. Hold on, we'll do this together.
I love it.
Can opening sound. Let's go here. You get a can from YouTube because I don't have cans with me.
You get a can. You get a can.
Pause the music. Yeah, there's no can. Sorry, I haven't bought an actual box of Arizona Green Tea in a while. Keck W Bell, hello and welcome to stream. Yeah, she got Odomatone. Yeah, Odomatone's good. So there you go. There's your can. For now, I will buy more cans when I go buy groceries in February. But yeah, like music for like actual traditional instruments other than like piano and stuff, it's always like maintaining the instrument properly, like getting the right mouthpieces and stuff. The actual thing that your instrument is made of really impacts it. Like I played a little teensy tiny bit of saxophone, like alto sax, and what I learned from that is like depending on like who makes the saxophone, what it's made out of can really change the sound. And same thing goes for brass instruments too. Like there were trumpet players who would get like plastic trumpets, and the sound that the plastic trumpets would make would be so different from an actual. I don't know why they're gimmicky and they're really awful. Don't buy those.
Ew.
They sound terrible. But there are people who would want to buy that, and I'm like, I don't know why you paid for this green plastic trumpet, but okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The vuvuzela. Yes, that's what I want.
Foxtrot, what is that link? What is this? Oh, Foxtrot. But yeah, plastic trumpets sound awful. Don't buy those. But like with saxophone, you would have like the really expensive ones. You have like the black wooden finish kind of thing, and that would change the sound. I wish I could remember now what they were called. But they all have like very different approaches. Like if you make it like out of metal versus wood, out of a bunch of other stuff, like it can really change the sound and direction of things. And that was always a constant thing of talk and discussion. Like, well, your trumpet, like, do you want to get a silver trumpet or one made out of gold or a metal mixture? And how is that going to change the sound? Who makes your instrument? Is it Yamaha or is it Like one of the more famous ones whose name I can't remember now. Like, there's always stuff.
That is true, though. I mean, and it's the same for like any make for any instrument. Like, you know, like traditional style. Like going back to talking about recorders. Like, at least here in the States, like learning how to play the recorder, it's like because it's not that it's easy, but you can get the basics very quickly. And because it's such a small and very inexpensive instrument, like it's sort of a required.
Boy.
Just gonna put that up there.
Boy.
But you know, yeah, I think one of the best ways to talk about like how what your thing is made out of can change the sound would be like with stringed instruments. Especially like violins, I know have like
guitar.
Yeah, like you know a lot more about that, I would say. So what can you tell us about like how sound changes with the guitar stuff? Because I know there's all different kinds of guitars, and I'm always bad at.
I have absolutely no clue. I'm just kidding. I only know very little because I don't really study much of how the guitar is made. But I come to understand that different kind of wood will produce different kind of sounds. That's why for the guitar, like what was it? Koa wood tend to produce very warm sound, and whereas different kind of woods, like my guitar is using a maple prunus, a torched maple prunus top, so it produces a more homely sound. Whereas when you compare to cheaper end guitars that sometimes use a mix of plastic and wood, it produces a very bright sound which doesn't have much
Actually, hold on. I might have a plastic wood mixed one. Hang on, let me go grab it. Be right back.
Oh
God. Hang on.
Yeah, so like depending on the material made. No problem, take your time. Wait, is he
I don't think he can hear, but he's just still talking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh god, I remember I am not good at guitar.
This is our
So let me just qualify that. But I'll just do like a G chord.
Oh, you hear that difference immediately.
Yeah, this is my G chord.
Oh man,
It's such a huge difference in sound because of like the make of the guitar.
That plastic be crazy though.
Well, my strings are also pretty old. Like I really need to like fix my guitar to get better strings and you know.
Oh shit, how old are strings?
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Really, because mine's 2 years old. So
Oh, they're probably older than that. I asked my dad to buy me a guitar years ago, and like because I haven't like touched it a whole lot, it hasn't really been used. It's not like they've really been stretched out to the point of like I need to replace them like immediately. But like they're definitely old. They definitely should be replaced. In all honesty, though, I think my problem with my guitar is it's a little bit too bulky. And it's, like, I feel like I'm kind of hunched over it because of just how, like, wide the actual base of the guitar is. But, you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's why. No, travel guitars are a thing. I kind of want to buy a travel guitar for myself, apparently, you know? Speaking of materials being made of, apparently lately what's been trending is carbon fiber guitars. And I'm like, huh? How on earth would that even sound? And apparently,
I was just about to ask.
Damn good.
I've heard of like carbon fiber. God, I can't speak. Carbon fiber saxophones. Like I've seen those, and they're really interesting. And I know that they do that for violins as well.
What?
I've seen a carbon fiber violin before, and they're very.
Whoa, I gotta look this up. Hang on a second. Carbon fiber.
Look, Rena, I can't English
carbon
properly.
Fiber guitar. Ta-da! Check this out.
Oh yeah, let's pull this up. We'll listen to it. Oh no, it's an unboxing video.
Okay.
Oh, they look sleek.
Like this feels like a. Yeah, they've put some thought into this.
But,
So
like,
this is from a
pretty
company
jump
called
on it.
Lava.
Whoa,
And
what
the
the
craziest thing about this guitar is that it's built out of carbon fiber.
So this one
So
has
it's
an
called a
inbuilt
unibody
amp
carbon
inside.
composite
And
acoustic guitar
inbuilt.
with a free
It's
boost
so cool. I
pickup, which
wanna
can be
buy
found
this.
in this rather unusual
Carbon fiber
Sound
piano.
And I already love
oh my
it
God,
because
I need to.
one,
Do
I
those
love
even
carbon
exist? I was
fiber.
kind of thinking about that. I was like, do I even bother search that? Carbon fiber piano.
Whoa.
Oh my god, they exist and they look so
and it
cool.
resonates really well.
That sounds nice.
Inspired piano has carbon fiber.
I'm going to be honest, I wasn't expecting to be impressed. So you
Crap.
can tell I haven't grown. This guitar is
The
relatively
future is
small
now.
and has, short scale
Oh
length
my
too,
god. Okay.
which
This
I
sounds
adore.
Yeah, because of the ingot and within, so it's like it's a hybrid. So it's so wait, this is the future, yo.
You see, I've heard of like carbon fiber saxes, and I've heard those, and they sound really nice too. I think it's just like maybe carbon fiber is the future. Let's go.
Yeah.
Holy
Don't destroy the earth anymore.
Wait, Obsidian, I'm gonna post this picture in
In the chat.
our chat, the podcast talking channel, but like, holy crap,
Wow.
that looks like a boat.
Excuse me, what is
Whoa,
this?
whoa, whoa, whoa.
What is this futuristic looking piano? What is this thing?
Holy shit, what is this?
Look at this thing. What is this?
Damn, what's
It's
this?
like an
I feel like I could.
Is that carbon fiber piano?
yeah, carbon fiber piano.
I
Holy
feel like I
crap.
destroyed one of these in Halo. What is this? It's a spaceship.
I'm so curious now. I mean, that bench looks like you can't get from one end of the piano to the other, but
Yeah.
I am so curious. I would love to play that. So, like, a couple summers ago, I took about 6 weeks off of streaming to go to Europe.
Oh, I remember. that,
And I went. Yeah, so I stayed in Sweden, but then took the train daily to Copenhagen, Denmark, and then the second leg of my journey was in Austria. They had this 7 weeks, but they had this like piano.
So that is how
like
the guitar
gallery?
sounds with
With all these modern-looking pianos and electric keyboards, and it just makes me think of that. And I wonder if like any of them there might have had carbon fiber pianos. I just remember looking through it, like walking through the gallery, and just being like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, are these still
I'm gonna
pianos?
go.
Rena, what is this thing you've posted? What is this carbon fiber thing? What
Like
am I
that
looking
looks.
at?
Wait, what?
a
Wait, I
warped
found
USB
one.
drive.
It's called Kawaii.
This is a piano?
What?
What? Excuse me?
Yep, Kawai is a piano company brand. Yes, Kawai.
What?
Huh. This looks like a router.
It it looks like, I don't know. It looks like a USB that got sat on.
Yeah, it really does.
So no, only one I at the end. So Kawai.
Mm-hmm.
That's the brand.
Okay, that's interesting.
So they have-
wow, shit.
And those produce a different sound than Yamaha's. I'm trying to find the. Oh my gosh, I have to find some of these piano pictures.
Flat
because
Piano
they-
Friday. That's a song I want to learn one day. It's the Flat Fuck Friday song. I need it while I still live in Florida. Gotta do it. One day.
I don't know if I know what that song is.
Oh, do you not follow the enlightened Twitter of Gators Daily? Where they
No,
just
I do
post
not.
images of gators all the time, and like every Friday it's like it's Flat Fuck Friday. And they have this
Oh,
like
when it's
stupid
okay,
guitar
alright.
song.
Makes sense. Where is it?
For the sake of chat not knowing what I'm talking about, I will play it from Spotify and I'll just mute this portion later. Where is
You're
it?
buying us time. Thank you.
Here it goes.
Oh, I had the piano Beethoven played on. That's sick.
There we go, chat. You can enjoy this. Need to get a piano again. It's been a while. Yeah. I've been meaning to learn, actually. Actually, what day is it even?
What the hell?
Is
What
it right?
day is it?
I don't remember the days anymore.
No, I was just looking at my carbon fiber guitar that you were just shown on YouTube, and that shit is like 4 times cheaper than my current one. What the hell?
No.
I feel really wants to die right now.
No.
Yeah,
My
I
neck
actually,
is
I think I've
like-
tweeted about this before, but one thing I've kind of wanted to do is to kind of get back into music, just like actually playing stuff. I don't think I could dedicate streams to playing trumpet because God knows if me yelling in my mic breaks the microphone. You better believe a trumpet would.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, piano is one of those things that I've actually been wanting to pick back up again, because I used to have like when I was like living with my family and I would like get to play in like the orchestra for their church. The pianist at their church was like, she's pretty renowned in the community as well. I think she teaches. She's pretty well known. And I asked her like many times, I was like, hey, can you tell me like, or can you like, you know, recommend me some like books to learn so I can like start reading music again and like picking stuff up. And I actually have like a piano book to start learning piano. I just need to like look into getting a good like keyboard somewhere and like set that up and maybe dedicate streams to like, hey guys, let me play some scales over and over and over again and learn how to do stuff properly. Maybe one day, maybe we'll do that. I've been watching some like musicians on like Twitter and stuff that I'm like, I want to be able to play this because this stuff is really cool. I think like Jonathan Young is one of those that I've been looking at lately. Where is he?
Oh, hey, that's a name I know.
Yeah. He's got one thing he's working on, like an original song that like he shared parts of it on Twitter, and I was like, this dude is sick, and I love it. Where is he?
If anything, I will suggest, and this has nothing to do with like reading music and just like, you know, getting good at like knowing what you're looking at very quickly, but if you're looking for like improving like finger dexterity, finger independence, well, not necessarily hand independence because it's the same thing, but I highly recommend a set of exercises called Hanen. Or I should say it's written by Hanen. It's a set of finger exercises, and now I really wish I was by my piano, because then I could play a few for you, but you don't have to do anything more than 1 through 20, but that's like how I've built my finger technique since I was old enough to do so. So I've just done like 1 through 20, and I've just done that over and over and over again, like for 20 years.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the biggest things for me is like, I get told often that I have the hands for piano and guitar because my fingers are like stupid fucking long and my hands are kind of like massive. So like, that's why I have guitar, is because like, every time I talk to people, they're like, oh, you can play music, can you play guitar? You have the hands for it. And I'm like,
Stop.
My hands were small. God.
But my technique with that stuff is always the worst. Like, piano is one of those things that, like, I've always wanted to learn, but I'm just the worst at practicing and keeping up with that. And guitar is almost like, I know that how I'm actually, like, holding the guitar is bad. Because I think, like, you're supposed to, like, keep your thumb, like, in, like, the middle of the back of the neck. And have your, like, fingers go over it. But I always end up, like, that's wrong! That's all I was taught, was like to keep your thumb in the middle of the back of the neck of the guitar, and then not have your thumb like hanging over to like where the E string is. But I'm always bad about that, and I always end up like touching the strings and fucking up my notes.
I took guitar.
It really depends.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need to mute the 16. And
yeah.
You get more support when you're closer, you know, to climb down the whole damn thing. So I don't know. It's each to their own, I guess.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's hard for me with guitar especially is like learning chords. So like the dreaded F chord. And like, you know,
that's the one
thumb.
I can't.
Yeah, that's always the one that like I know it, but I don't know it, if that makes sense. Because
I can't. I tried
using
guitar
your
for
finger
a
to like
months.
press down all the strings at once is rough.
Yeah, bar chords I can't do.
I mean, they're hard. Like they're. That's why I like power chords. This is like 3 strings. It's like cool. We got like 2-3 strings. We're great. Easy.
Oh, okay. When it comes to those bar chords, then you're right. Your thumb has to be like somewhere near the center so you can press down the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's no way you can. Yeah. Then yeah, that's correct. But I'm still gonna get used to it for bar chords. Because I realized something. A lot of people tend to press, you know, somewhere in between the 2 lines, you know, the lines of the frets. But actually, the closer you are to the bottom of a fret, it's easier to press down the thing. So,
really?
ideally, you want to just press just on top of the line. That way, you don't have to hold or use so much strength to press it down. So it's like this.
Sweet blessings. I wish I would have known that.
I'm gonna have to try that later.
A lot of people try it like pressing on like the top or somewhere in the middle, then you gotta exert like 50% more strength, you know, like But then if you can do it so much less and easier when you just touch the line.
That is some
Makes
big
so
brain
much
shit. I
sense.
wish I'd been taught that. That would have helped.
Yeah, exactly. Now I feel like a dingus.
Yeah. Oh, so speaking of
Because
piano, I
those
found the
people
piano
don't want
clip.
y'all to learn.
They don't want you to learn. They want you to be struggling. So here's the video that I have now wanted to learn piano because of, which is gonna be up on stream. This shit is cool. The next one is purple. Yeah, sure, why not, basically. So, like, that little clip of stuff, I was like, shit, that's cool. I want to learn how to do that one day.
Wow, that is good improv.
Fun.
That is like a mix of different cards, but he knows how to like play the in tune to the cards that he was playing, and he made a solo out of it. Pretty cool, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of scaling though, this thing.
Yeah, like, I think that's part of, like, something he's working on, like, a new album. So it's one of his, like, original songs or something. And I was like, shit, like, that's so cool. Like, the stuff you can do with music. Like, I mean, even outside of this, like, some of my favorite musicians for, like, video game composition would be, the guy who does, like, all the music for, like, Way Forward. Vert. Shit, my brain. Jake Kaufman. Yes, Jake Kaufman. He does, like, all the music for Shovel Knight, for most of the Shantae games. Like, a lot of his stuff is, like, this more chiptune-y, like, upbeat kind of thing. And I'm like, man, like, I know that you could use keyboards to kind of learn the basis for this and kind of help you, like, compose music like that. And I've always, like, really enjoyed that idea of, like, being able to create your own music. But I do not have the skill yet to do that. But I see stuff like this, and I'm like, man, music is so cool. I want to learn it again.
Inspiration.
Yeah, it just gets you pumped.
Alright, it's time for someone to knock Obsidian, then he can use the power of spite to get
Yeah,
practicing.
someone pissed me off so I can learn it out of spite.
Just gotta find someone to insult you.
Yeah, I mean, that is a thing that has motivated me in the past to do stuff. It's like, you won't do this. I'm like, bitch, you think I will. You will never learn music. I already learned music. It's fine. Jurassic World is Oh, Rena, I will stab you. No.
Wait, what happened?
Rena said Jurassic
Not
World
accurate.
is accurate. I'm
What
gonna
do you mean by
kill.
accurate? I thought it's accurate, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean by it's not accurate? What do you mean?
I'm so glad that we're
Chat
getting
is
chat
roasting so well.
insulting me. And putting in all the trigger stuff. Thanks, chat. Love you guys too. I mean, actually, Jurassic World's music isn't really that bad. Like, one of the few things I would not complain about is Jurassic World's music. It's fine. I
It's
think
fine.
Who composed the music for that? Was it still,
Yeah.
Was John Williams still involved in that? Do you guys know? Because John Williams is, like, one of my favorite
No.
composers. Like, hands down.
Hang on. I was just thinking about that. Jurassic World.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did Jurassic World.
I don't think so because I can't remember a single theme.
I mean, they mostly just reused
Composed by
the stuff that John
Michael-
Williams composed. Is
Michael-
it Giacchino?
Giacchino, yeah.
Okay, I think he's the guy. What else did Giacchino do? He's done a few things. So I gotta go check my personal library of music because I have stuff from Michael Giacchino. That's actually good.
Here, let me see. I can... Oh my god, he's got blue glasses. You love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do, my dude? Ah, he did... What? He did Up, The Incredibles.
Oh yeah,
What?
The Incredibles is what I was thinking of. Like he's done a lot
He
of really
did
good stuff.
Up. Those are like really good. He did Ratatouille. Oh, such wonderful soundtracks. I didn't even know. I'd
Yeah,
never
he's
even
done a lot of
thought
like
about this
recent
man.
stuff. Like The Incredibles was what I was thinking of. I had to go like check it to make sure. He did some J.J. Abrams movies too. Yeah, I think so. But as far like, you know, like modern musicians, like, you know, a lot of people talk about like, you know, the classic musicians like Mozart, Bach, and all that other stuff, like Vivaldi and like really famous pianists and things. But I think when you look at like our modern music, there are so many talented and interesting musicians, like John Williams as a good example, or even Michael Giacchino, and even musicians that I love to like meme on. Who was it that did Inception? because he's famous for the Bois. Who did that?
The Bois.
You know what I'm talking about. I think that Inception started that every movie started doing.
So. Yeah, the
Bois, just like that shit. Like, they just let the tubas kind of go nuts.
Inception. I type in Inception and it just comes up Michael Caine. Stop. So Inception.
Yeah, who's behind this? Hans Zimmer. Yeah, Hans Zimmer is one of those like he's fun to meme on.
Why didn't I know that? I'm so mad.
Yeah.
I should have known that.
He's done a lot of stuff, and it's. I think him and who is it? The guy who did the original Batman theme. He does all the Tim Burton movies.
Danny Elfman. Yeah,
Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman's another one that's like he's so easy to meme on, because Danny Elfman's music especially, it sounds like very similar. And you like kind of get a feel for how he composes music. It's just like kind of woozy.
Well, I feel like that's with a lot of composers. Like you hear enough of it, you can start to pick up on like the things that they like to do in their music. Same with Mozart, same with Beethoven, same with Berlioz. Like anyone.
Same with Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran.
I'm serious.
You mean Ron Weasley?
BTS released when when BTS released a new album, and then I felt like Ed Sheeran composed the whole damn thing, and then when I went to look up who composed the song for one of the BTS new album, then I saw Ed Sheeran collaboration with BTS. I'm like, I knew it.
That's insane.
Alan Silvestri did Back to the Future. Yeah, you're right. Alan Silvestri did a lot of like famous tracks as well. Like Back to the Future is one of those. What? Yes.
I posted something in the Discord, but talking about John Williams made me think of this. I don't know if you've ever seen this, and WKUK is like such an old, like.
Oh no!
Channel?
What is this?
Group.
Is this like an acapella thing?
No.
Or
it's not even singing. It's just a skit of like what happens in like the what quote unquote happens in like the John Williams household.
Oh no.
Doesn't sound like the tune that George Lucas needs for his new Star Wars Indiana Jones.
Oh my god, what is this?
Think John Williams.
Star Wars meets Indiana Jones.
Oh no. John Williams, what are you doing?
Trying to compose.
This is how music is made, everybody.
Exactly.
Or rather, this is me driving in my car, singing along to no vocal music. How did you even find this, Harune?
It's years ago, and it just I never thought about it until now, and I was like, oh my god. I know. This is accurate.
I'm gonna start referencing this now. Just boom, 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 boom. It's like playing Fortnite. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Hang on. You might want to stop it right there.
Okay.
Because they use a strong word in there that's like not okay anymore. Okay. So I don't want to get you like in trouble.
Close it there.
Is it?
Yui, are you gonna have a gamer word? Are we having?
It's a gamer word.
Oh no. It comes from Final Fantasy music.
Is it?
No, it's a derogatory word for a homosexual.
Oh, so it's not the what's up? Can a VTuber come up in your stream?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Meki indulged me on that on Twitter, and I'm so proud. I managed to roast him on Twitter with it. It was beautiful.
Hey.
So thank you, Meki. Only Hololive fans know that theme, Yui. Oh no.
Most of you should know. No, that's true. We should like. Yeah. Now you can just hum the tune, and we're like, oh, I know what word that is.
I know what that is. It is.
But yeah, no. If you want to watch the rest of it later, like just on your own time, I'm very amused by it.
Yeah, Asu, you're not wrong because spoiler alert, I don't watch VTubers. I don't watch VTubers. Except my friends, I support friends. I don't watch VTubers. Yui is now disappointed in me. sorry, Yui.
Yui!
Oh no, Yui's broken. I broke her. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's fine. Yui's dead. I killed Yui. I'm sorry. I'll play a song for you to memorialize you. There we go.
This is during her funeral.
It's easy. I love that that's one of the few things I've ever learned on my automaton. It's like, yeah, just learn coffin dance. It's fine. It's a great song.
Yeah, I know that was my first time I'm playing it. Holy shit, I'm getting used to this.
Rafang says, I've created a monster. You've created a blessing. Now Yui and I can do this stupid meme back and forth at each other.
I want it to end with just screaming.
This is just what we do now. We're back to the automaton. We've done it.
We've come full circle.
Yeah. So we're on the topic of like popular music and stuff. I know that like one of the companies that gets a lot of praise as of late for its music would be like Disney. Disney always gets a lot of praise for like the new stuff it's done, like in Moana and like Frozen and a bunch of other stuff. What do you guys think about like most of how Disney does music? I have opinions.
Harune has much biz. Go Harune, I choose you.
So let's take Moana for example.
Right.
They actually had, if I read it and if I understood it and if I remember it correctly, they actually had two teams, and one were like more or less ethnomusicologists who traveled to like those
like the Polynesian islands.
Yes, yeah, that was the word I was looking for, Polynesian. I couldn't think of it. But they they went to the Polynesian islands. They already had a little bit of an understanding of their music, but they went there and they spent a lot of time with just the community to get a better sense of like what their music was like, and like had local people record their music. Right? And that's why, in terms of like the actual soundtrack itself, there are a lot of like very accurate, culturally
quote,
accurate, quote unquote, pieces in there. But there are still some like pieces or some different parts. So like, yeah, there was like one group who did like the ethnomusicologist stuff, and then there was another group who just like composed these kitschy pop songs that kids would not be able to stop singing, and that parents would want to like rip their ears off for.
I think that's
right?
like a mindset with Disney that's always frustrated me, is that like Disney has music that's like really, really well crafted and very interesting. Like there's like the stuff you mentioned in Moana that's really good, but then you get things like Let It Go, where a lot of people view like that song specifically, and a lot of music from that movie, but that one very specifically, is like, because it's catchy, it's also well composed and well written. But Let It Go is one of the like the most laziest written songs of all time. It uses like that same 4-chord structure of every pop song ever. Like you could overlay it with like Firework from like Katy Perry's song, and it's like the same fucking thing.
And that's the point, right? Like, is that it's already in a structure that people recognize, so it's faster for people to learn by ear. It's still has like a melody
easy for people to get to.
Right, exactly. But Indina Menzel herself said that like people who don't know how to like properly take care of themselves should not. I don't mean like in life, but I just mean like their throat and like good vocal health and stuff. Yeah. Should not try to sing that song.
It's really rough on that for sure.
Yeah, I had a friend who she's not a vocal singer. She's just, likes to sing in her car or whatever. But she actually had to go on vocal rest because she had damaged her throat singing that song all the time. What? So she like had to go to like vocal therapy, and she had like strict restrictions on like like when you go on vocal rest, you can't whisper because whispering actually takes more effort than actually talking. It's more strain on your vocal cords. So There was like all these exercises that she had to do, and for a long time, and I should actually check up with her to see how her throat feels now. But like this was 2-3 years ago, because we were still in college when she hurt herself. So
Oh god.
yeah, but she's still like, she was like, there are some, like, I can't sing like as much as I could before. Like I don't feel like I have like the vocal relaxation to like sing and reach certain high notes anymore, because and like her range was already limited. She's more of an alto, but just the fact that like when she gets to a certain point in her vocal range, she immediately feels the strain and has to stop. So
yeah, that's something that, like, for me especially, because like I wanted to start like picking up music this year, and singing is one of those things. I've been talking to an instrumentalist for like getting backtracks for future covers and things, and I've known that like you can really fuck up your voice and your throat by like not taking care of it properly, and I'm like paranoid of that. I'm like, oh shit, no, I need it. I don't want to have that problem.
No, exactly. And it's like, I mean, I don't want to like derail from your original question.
Oh,
but,
it's fine. That's the point of this.
Yeah, no, it's a very real thing. But we'll avoid a tangent if we can. But yeah, Disney music, in some ways, they have the money and the funding to be like to support ethnomusicologists, and they can get some really cool, like, culturally more connected musicianship. But then they also like pay some people to write just some of the most like
generic,
well-crafted, but like for lack of a better word, earwormy.
Yeah, I would say it's like the laziest way to make millions. Is kind of how I view some of those tracks. Because like Disney, I think when you look at Disney's music and its history, I mean, I think it's impossible to separate Disney from its music. And a lot of what Disney has done that's kind of stuck in people's brains and is revered as like some of the best stuff is always the ones that kind of had that like ethno-musicology behind it. Like if you look at like Lion King, for example, they brought in like all this like diverse group of people to come in and compose that. They like research the culture, and you watch the movie, and the movie in itself is kind of like a testament to that. It's like a love letter to Africa in a lot of ways. And the music is like a big portion of that because of how much care and attention went into crafting each one of these songs. And I feel like modern Disney, for me at least, doesn't feel like it does as much of that. That they kind of just rely on some of the same, like, well, we know this is catchy, we know it'll work, and so we kind of keep using these same chords over and over again because it's people will never forget it, and it'll make us more money that way. And I'm like, no, please go back to doing interesting stuff. I'm begging you.
Don't be bland.
Well, actually, speaking of like the Lion King and stuff, like we could look at like the live action remakes as like a good example of that, where they'll take these like classic songs and they're not even relying on like their own ability to create new and interesting tracks. They just like auto-tune them to make them more poppy and whatever. And I hate it so much.
Oh, it makes me puke a little bit, like in my mouth. At the end of Disney movies, like even if there is like a remotely like catchy, like take Coco for example. The song Remember Me, a beautiful little tune. Especially when it's like played as like the little ballad style. And then not to like talk crap about John Legend, because was it John Legend who sings it at the end, like in the end credits? But I
think maybe.
But like John Legend, like as a singer and as a musician, you know, aside, just the fact that they always, almost like without fail, will take a tune that they've decided will be the most memorable one, so that already tells you like they've put in the quote unquote perfect formula to make sure that this song does not leave your mind, right? And then they put like a pop twist and like the worst kinds of like ill-fitting like rubato and like just these like weird like vocal things that pop artists will do, and then they the song at the end, like at the end credits. It's disgusting. I can't.
I think Aladdin might be one of the worst cases of that, where like Will Smith is not a good singer. Like he's not a good, like he can rap, but he's not a good singer, right? And they kind of like had him do all this stuff, and they very clearly auto-tuned most of his stuff, and I'm like, oh god, why did you do that?
Oh, they did the same thing for Emma Watson in Beauty and the Beast, and she was so like straightforward about it. I think she was actually quite against it. She goes, I can't sing. I don't sing. that's not what I do. So they had her sing anyway, but they like, it was so heavily auto-tuned. And it was very, very obvious. And it's like, don't do that. Just
I think
don't.
maybe, you know, that I think about it now, because I've been watching, like, Your Movie Sucks a lot, and he's been doing a very deep dive analysis of the Lion King movie. And one thing that they've done in that, which kind of shows you how little they care about these like live action remakes, is with Lion King, they didn't set their audio properly. So like none of the stuff was mixed. So they will like, they'll auto extend certain notes because the note was too short when they recorded it, or they'll drown it out with the backtrack because they clipped the mic. So like when you remove the backtrack and you listen to it, there are areas where like there's just this mic clipping where it sounds awful, and then they've raised the backtrack of the music to kind of cover that up. And there's so many instances where like the movie is now just done and built so poorly because they just didn't get like, well, we know it's Lion King, it's gonna make $1 million, it'd be fine, it's gonna make so much money, we're not gonna care. And there's so little effort that's put into actually composing like a good, like even like just. It's just like amateur and unprofessional at that point, because it's like you should be mixing your audio properly. Why are you not mixing your audio properly?
It's like you're Disney. Come on, for God's sake! Like
it's like you're literally swimming in money. You have the funds.
Like, what's your excuse?
I think like another like common issue that I see.
I feel like it's because also
yeah,
for the live action side of people, it's managed by a different group of Disney. You know, it feels that way.
It really does. I think with Lion King, they actually brought back the original composer, who I forgot who that was. Hans Zimmer, maybe? I'm bad.
Here, let's see.
There's been a lot of interviews with him, and he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna fix the music from before. But then the way he talks about it is like, oh, I'm fixing it, but then it just sounds worse. And it's just, oh, it's awful. And I'm like, why did you do this? Like, the movie had good music.
I feel like that's what ended up happening. I keep going back to Beauty and the Beast, but I feel like so Hans Zimmer did do The Lion King, and I feel like he probably did Beauty and the Beast as well. But that's what he ended up. Oh no, it was Alan Menken. Okay, idiot, Alan Menken. But yeah, they like kept a lot of the same stuff, just like remixed it a little bit, and then but for Beauty and the Beast, they actually had like a couple of original songs in there, but.
I don't ever like the original songs either. They feel off. Like I think Aladdin is one that I like. They had like the song for Jasmine.
Oh my God! No, don't even talk to me about that.
So bad.
That makes me so mad. Like that's so very much like they don't even bother pretend what that song is supposed to be, and it's just this like poppy little female empowerment song that like gets little girls to sing. Like it once again like if the original Aladdin soundtrack did not snag you in some way, this little kitschy pop tune about Jasmine being, you know, not gonna stay speechless or whatever, like, I'm all for female empowerment, right? That's not the issue. It's just how crappy that song was, and it's...
Shad makes a good point here of, like, it's a song about her independence and she immediately gets captured. Yeah. Like, she immediately loses her independence. It's like, oh yeah, good job,
That's
Disney.
right. There's like no point to the song. She's like, I'll no longer stand speechless, whatever. And it's like, no one's even listening to her singing. Like, time has slowed or whatever. Like, this is all in her head. She's not even like announcing this to anyone. Like, it's purely for the audience. Yui, it's fine. You've done yourself a favor.
Yeah, don't give them money for this. It's fine.
The only thing I can condone is Will Smith's ginormous hat.
Yes.
And that is okay.
But yeah, like I see stuff like this in movies, and it's so frustrating because it feels like, and I've talked about this ad nauseum before of how like I feel the way that a lot of movie companies are going nowadays is they're putting in as little effort as possible while still getting as much money as they can. They're just trying to like formulaic this, and that would be from a writing standpoint, from just recycling old ideas to just redoing the same thing but worse with music and everything else. And it's so frustrating for me as like a moviegoer, someone who appreciates like the craft of filmmaking, for someone who appreciates music from like a musical background. It's like, oh, please stop. Just give me good things. I want actual well-composed stuff. I'm begging you. Yeah. You have the money, Disney.
You really hate to see it. Like it's some of the saddest things to see. But it's so... Like, it's unfortunate that the bigger the company, the more money that it has, like, the less they seem willing to try to be, like, an A-tier group or a company. You know what I mean? Like, the less risks they're willing to take, and they're like, stick to the formula. We know this is what works. We're not going to try and be creative anymore.
Yeah. Another thing that's pretty formulaic that I feel like people don't talk about as much is, like, the Marvel movies. And they're formulaic in, like, a lot of ways. Because if you think about the movies...
We're talking music or visuals?
All of it. like when you look at how Marvel has done itself, like its music is like the same
movie.
shit.
It
And the
is.
ones that
It
stand
is.
out are the ones that don't do that. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, was one of those movies that stood out so much from the other Marvel movies. It's because it wasn't trying to do the same thing the other ones did. It used like, you know, older tracks and stuff like kind of throw in there, and then they had like an actual like good soundtrack for the most
That
part.
was amazing, yeah.
It was really, really well done. But then you look at every Marvel movie after that, and they're either like trying to recreate that same thing, or their soundtrack is basically the same thing across all these movies. Because they found a formula that works for them.
Right, exactly. It's like because they found out that Guardians of the Galaxy, which is kind of ironic that the fact that because it was so different, it got popular. So they're like, let's stop making it different. Like let's keep this difference the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It does feel like there's like some cultural, or not cultural, like just some creativity void and a lot of this kind of stuff that I'm like, please, come on, just support people to create interesting stuff. Like when you have movies like, say, Song of the Sea, as like a really good example, like music and like direction. You have this like love letter to like Celtic mythology, and you have these like really, really well crafted like music and stuff that's just, it goes into the culture of like what that was from. The whole story itself is like all hand-drawn animation. It's just this really beautiful, wonderful movie, and it gets like no attention. And you get like fucking Avengers that does the same shit as usual because it's just business as usual for Disney, like recycling the same ideas. Or you get the live-action remakes. I'm like, please don't support those. Please support interesting things like Song of the Sea that actually tries to do interesting shit. I'm begging you.
No, I absolutely agree. And like, I don't know if I don't remember how many years ago this was, but there was a movie that came out and I think it won Best Award. Do you remember like I don't even remember if it was like the Grammys or the Academy Awards. I don't even know if they're the same or if they're different. But that one year where they like misannounced which movie won. They're like La La Land. They're like, wait, never mind, it's Moonlight.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh,
Yeah.
That was a mess.
Yes, it was. It was a nice dumpster fire. But I listened to an interview with the composer of Moonlight, and they were talking about a strategy that he did. So like the main theme of Moonlight is played on a cello, and it goes something like dun 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 dun, or something like that. So that's like the basic. That's like the main character's little leitmotif.
Right.
And instead of just transposing it and then having the cellist play in a different key, like as the movie progresses, he digitally altered it, and that actually changed the sound entirely because how we tune instruments nowadays is a form of what is it called? Well, I think it's called well temperament. Like when you think of the well-tempered clavier, like the collection of preludes and fugues that Bach wrote, it was to this new form of tuning. So it's based on overtones and how intervals of a fourth and fifth sound together. And that's how piano tuners especially will tune their pianos. They don't go one note at a time. They go by intervals of fourths and fifths and then octaves. But by altering the melody digitally, instead of just transposing it and then having the cellist play it, it changes how the tones fit with each other as you listen to it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so like I think of that, and I'm just like, you know, like the fact that he even bothered to like try it those two different ways and decided that he liked sort of that jarring, slightly more dissonant, like feeling of digitally changing it. Like that's creativity. That's musical, like integrity. And then there's Disney.
I always like to support music that does that, like music or projects that try to do something very interesting. Like one of my favorite musicians currently, I always qualify her with like, most people probably won't like her music because of just how fucking weird it is. No, Karen O.
Oh, what?
So if you remember when Rise of the Tomb Raider came out, she did the music for that trailer. But I looked up a lot of her other stuff, and what I would describe her music as would be like shitty indie rock. But like the stuff that she does and the way that she presents it, like she kind of creates music in like some of her older albums where it sounds like you're at like a live show. It sounds like it's just somebody who's like who makes like maybe $15 a night playing music out at like a open mic night kind of thing. It's like kind of how the tone of like this older stuff sounds. But even like the way she does stuff, it's like very unconventional. It's not necessarily good all the time, but like she's trying to do something different and interesting with like the way her music is even presented and mixed. And I'm like, this is really fucking interesting. It feels a lot more visceral, more personal. And I kind of like that here is an artist attempting to go against this idea of everything sounding perfect and amazing to making it sound intentionally worse to create a certain kind of like aesthetic.
Exactly, even if it doesn't work out, like at least she's trying.
Yeah.
Like I think of Radiohead, like Johnny Greenwood, just incredible musicians, incredible. Even no matter what your opinions are about like Coldplay, for example, God, I can't remember his name. What is it, Chris? Something. I don't know. The main guitar guy. When he's when he's trying to like come up with a new song or whatever, and he's getting like the equivalent of writer's block, he will just take his guitar and he'll change the pegs. Like he'll just twist the pegs in any which way and just strum, like just mindlessly. And then when he catches a sound that he likes, he'll write, with those notes in mind. And I was like, still trying to do something different to stay fresh and original. Like that's,
I think that's why I try to like lean more towards like smaller, more independent musicians, is because they're more willing to kind of experiment with different ideas and directions. Whereas when you get like big companies and big production behind it, unless that production is heralded by like one person, like kind of creating their vision, it tends to kind of follow the same general patterns and conventions of most other like production companies. I'm like, come on, like do something different. And like Disney is a great example of that, because everything they do is very formulaic. It's very to the point. They don't really take any risks or directions, because they're like, well, if we do that, then maybe it'll affect our bottom line. Whereas like independent musicians are like, I just want to create a sound that I like and interesting. Like I want to play this, and I want to do this in whatever way I can.
Right. It's not about the money. It's about the music, as it should always be. But
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's just like a bigger problem with artists as a whole.
Naturally.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I naturally realized that as y'all mentioned that Disney's recent music has become more and more streamlined to a certain formula until you mentioned it, because it's just so catchy, It becomes to a point that the new music are dedicated to like reaching as much people as possible without proper music integrity. Now when you talk about it, and now I think through it musically, yeah, you are right. It is pretty basic.
It is, yeah. It's and once again, it's perfectly, in a way, it is perfectly composed, but not perfectly composed in a way that it's like the most gorgeous piece of music that you'll ever hear.
It's just something gonna be just viral, and then it's gonna be viral because it's
I view it as
catchy,
like,
and then
they want it to be catchy to sell soundtracks, and they want it to fill in the void space to like manipulate. Like I say, in movies, for example, they use a lot of the soundtrack to manipulate your emotions. Instead of actually putting effort into the writing or to the character development, they're using the music to tell the audience how they should feel at this time, as opposed to that actually being communicated properly through good filmmaking. And so it's a way to kind of like make people feel like the movie is better than it is, kind of a way. And so they perfectly compose and craft these things to get that certain kind of emotion, but then when you look at the actual piece objectively, it's like, well, this doesn't really stand out, and people are going to forget it almost instantly. Like, or not even really that, but like if you could look at, say, movies like The Lorax, it's like a really good example of just pandering the fuck out to shit. You have like the Onceler, and he's just this like, oh look, I'm gonna create a handsome hipster guy, and he's gonna do the most generic music ever, because that's what's popular right now. And then no one fucking remembers that anymore. The stuff that people remember from The Lorax that actually stood out was the stuff that got cut from the final movie that was trying to do something different with like themes and direction. Whereas what's actually in the movie is like completely forgettable. I've
never seen The Lorax.
Oh, trust me, you don't want to. It's bad. I've seen it enough times to know that it sucks. And Tumblr was obsessed with the Onceler. That's what I remember.
Tumblr, oh my god.
That'll give you an idea of what that's like.
Yeah.
Imagine what Tumblr likes, and then that's what the Onceler's design is, and it's like, oh no.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things of like, you have movies that try to do some interesting stuff with like cool themes and directions. I have seen it more than once, yes, and I am ashamed to admit that. But like, a lot of movies just they don't try. They try to. Well, actually, maybe that's a bad way to word that. I think maybe the better way to say is what they are trying to do is not create good music. What they're trying to do is manipulate the audience and sell soundtracks. And I feel like it kind of shows in a lot of this like higher production quality stuff from the like larger companies. And what tends to be shown, like even like larger musicians, they don't really write their own music. They get like people to do the music for them, like to write the song, like the lyrics or whatever, and then they kind of do some stuff with it here or there. But like they're more of like the face of a brand as opposed to the actual musician, even if they didn't start that way, which is kind of a shame. A lot of these kinds of movies are decided by executives who base their decisions on numbers and data. Yeah, that's pretty common, I would say. So
yeah, it becomes less authentic, you know.
I would agree with that. That's why,
It's
again,
only
like
if you subjectively look at it, then you realize that oh shit, yeah, it's not as good and authentic as previous Disney movies.
I mean, sometimes it's easier to see that than others.
Just make money.
Yeah, like as a good recent example of like they clearly were very proud of this like one shitty thing they composed. It'd be the Monster Hunter movie, which I did see in theaters over the holiday break.
I haven't seen it yet.
I won't spoil too much, but as far as like music is concerned, they have this one song that's supposed to serve as like the theme for the movie, but it's very, very repetitive. It's not very interesting, and they keep using it over and over and over again through the entire goddamn movie. And I'm like, this song isn't even that good. Like, what is this? Did they have like Paul W.S. Anderson as the director? No, it's not even from the Monster Hunter games. It's this like kind of generic synthy sounding repetitive. No, they use no music from the games whatsoever, which is just a shame because Monster Hunter has such good music.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
Okay, I'm not watching it. It's time to boycott.
Well, people were boycotting that movie anyway because Paul W.S. Anderson was the director, and he's been known to abuse his actors in a sense.
No.
So like a stunt double for Mila Jovovich in one of the Resident Evil movies lost her arm during a stunt, and the studio, that's his actual thing. Like Mila Jovovich's stunt double lost her arm, and then the production, like the company directed by Anderson, didn't do anything to help her. They just let her out to dry. And a lot of people were like, "Fuck the Monster Hunter movie, we're not watching it because Paul W.S. Anderson's a piece of shit. Fuck him."
How did she lose her arm?
Is some stunt gone wrong?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't know exactly the details of that,
compensation?
but I've seen some interviews with her where like the company just let her out to dry basically, and people were really pissed off at Anderson for that. And the movie is just the movie's a mess. And I'm actually gonna be working on a thing for YouTube for that eventually. But I've got to watch it again, unfortunately, which means I have to like actually analyze and talk about like how bad the music is and the audio mixing is a mess, things like that. But yeah, it's just one of the things of like they were like, yeah, we're gonna just lazily create this one song that's the same fucking thing, and we're gonna keep using it over and over and over again. Because why bother actually creating a soundtrack that's worth a damn? We'll just do the same thing. It's fine. I hate that kind of mindset. Like as a musician, it frustrates me to watch movies sometimes because I'm like, this is not well done. I mean, it's not like poorly done, but it's like this is clearly lazy. And I know that it's lazy, and I can't get my mind out of that mindset when I'm watching stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm also starting to become really, really critical of movies that just use sound.
Like ambient noise.
There's this great video on YouTube called The Death of Melody. And it really goes into depth about how like modern music, and kind of starting with Inception, I feel like, where like movie soundtracks are, if they're not memorable, like John Williams and Alan Menken and all of those other like older composers who have been around long enough to remember what melody is. Now I know Hans Zimmer was the one who started the sort of thing, but just the idea that like we aren't getting like singing melodies anymore, and we're not getting things that stick with us but also perform their function, which whether it's a leitmotif for a character or or just a certain melody for a certain plot point, right? Like we just get like low rumbles, low like you said, kind of like ambient sound, but like bass. We're just like, and it's supposed, and it is supposed to like cause you anxiety. Like you think about like how we hear that a lot in Batman movies, especially.
Yeah.
But like even in like Rogue One, have you guys seen that movie?
I've seen it. I
Like
don't know about
that,
Yui.
like that Star Wars.
I thought it was good.
But the soundtrack, I don't remember anything about it. Like
Yeah, there's
must
so
have
much
been
about that that's like a
so
problem of like
boring.
it's just forgettable. Speaking of Star Wars, actually, another movie that like has that opposite issue would be if you look at like Solo. Like Solo has some actually really good songs in it, but like the movie itself kind of takes away from the focus of that sometimes, and it's like, oh come on, but there's actual good tracks here. There's well composed stuff, but sometimes there isn't. And it's like, oh, damn it.
And it is unfortunate when you like see a movie and like the content of it actually sucks, but like the music is really good. But like it almost like frustrated me in The Force Awakens when we hear Rey's theme for the first time. It is so cute. It is such a good theme. And it doesn't like stick around for long. It's just this cute little like do 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 do. Like the melody line, like the notes themselves are not incredibly unique. It's a sort of very Beethoven-esque where it's like more of the rhythm that's memorable than the notes themselves. But it's so cute, and it's like, why can't we have more of that? Like I think of Lord of the Rings, every soundtrack, every track with a title, whether it was tied to a character or a location, like Minas Tirith, like just beautiful. I love everything in the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. Like we have
the
like
soundtrack
garbage
really stands out.
music.
What's funny is like a lot of this stuff
The
ties like to
Hobbit
John
too.
Williams composing stuff too. And there's so many like classic movies. Like I mean, Jurassic Park is a good example of like where its theme is so iconic, and it gets memed on. It gets like so much stuff. But like it's because like you have this like actual focus on composing a good like melody. And John Williams excels at that. Like he did the original Star Wars theme. He did like E.T. People still fucking remember E.T.'s theme, and that movie's like ages old now. But people can still remember it. Da 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 da. Like people know that. Because it's just they had a focus on melody as opposed to just creating this ambient noise to generate tension. I think horror movies are probably like the worst example of it.
Oh yeah,
where it's just like, yeah, let's just get stringy violins making random noise at you, and I'm like, God, please stop.
Indiana Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
Space. But yeah. So there are thankfully still some composers out there who are working to maintain a melody, but we see that even bleeding into our like mainstream music media nowadays, where even if there's like there are some that have like a melody, but is it really the kind of melody that we used to have in the past? Now, of course, music is always progressive, and you know, we're taking composing to another level, but there are some songs that are like, there's some musicians that are taking it in the right direction, right? Music is always evolving. But there are some who are really stagnant in this sort of like depth of vocal fry and just like very like just like having a beat in the background and then sort of like almost recitative style, just like talking.
Yeah, it doesn't really stand out all that
it's
well.
not like rap, but it's talking.
And sometimes there's a place for that, but it just, I don't know, there's some stuff that just really doesn't work. I think you see this in video games as well. It's like for my, and people are probably so tired of me talking about this shit because I talk about it all the time. But if you listen to the soundtrack for the 2013 Tomb Raider game, and you listen to the music for, say, Horizon Zero Dawn, you'll hear that kind of difference in direction, because the 2013 Tomb Raider had this like direction of, well, we're going to create our own unique instrument, but this instrument's purpose is to create this more ambient noise. So when you listen to the soundtrack, there's a couple of themes that stand out, but a lot of the soundtrack is just like ambient sound of like scraping or metal moving or creaking just like in the background of the game to kind of generate that feel and direction. Whereas like Horizon Zero Dawn has like the opposite approach of like we're gonna create different kinds of songs to fit the different environments that you're in. Like one of the reasons I listened to the soundtrack was because I remember going to like the big city. It's like this like desert plateau city, and there's like this cool like just calming guitar song that sounds like an old like western like riding on a horse kind of thing. And I was like, what the fuck is this song? This is great. I love this. And then I would go like into like a dungeon or something, and they have this like kind of synth, like you know more electronic sounding thing because you're in like a non like natural environment, so they change the music to kind of fit that environment. I'm like, this is memorable. I like this. I remember the themes.
That's smart composing.
Yeah, like it's really, really well done. And then you get like just ambient noise in like other games. I'm like, oh, please stop. Please give me actual good songs. That's why I like Jake Hoffman so much.
I think like one game that really did extremely good ambient noise is Dead Space, the first Dead Space. It was so well done.
Yeah, Dead Space is very interesting because I can't remember a lot of the music from it, but like I do remember how it generates it. Yeah. Sometimes it does work really well.
It was so good in generating that apparently I saw an interview that they had to tone down the ambient noise that they were creating with Dead Space 2 because Dead Space 2 is supposed to be more kick-ass, you know?
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, the guy who composed Dead Space composed Tomb Raider. That was Jason Graves.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Jason Graves was the guy who headed the music composition for 2013 Tomb Raider, and I believe he worked on Dead Space 3. And maybe some of the other ones in Dead Space as well. I think he did Dead Space 1, and I don't know if he did 2 or not. But Jason Graves was in charge of that. And he excels at that, and like I think that the ambient noise does work. It's just how composers tend to rely on certain things. Like you kind of pick up on it after a while. Like with horror movies, for example, it's always like the violins, like just randomly going back and forth on each other, and it's just, stop. I'm tired of the stupid violin stingers. Cut this out, please. I'm so annoyed of hearing this in every horror movie, in every video game. They always kind of rely on that same trope, and I'm like, please do something else to create tension in the music. Because what they're doing is like creating this sense of like unease, because you want that to go away. Like you want this noise to stop. You want it to go to something like a more recognizable melody. And that sense of unease that song generates is what makes you uncomfortable, and intentionally. Like in horror games and movies, that's on purpose. But when you start recognizing that that's what they're doing, it immediately loses its effect. And
yes.
It's so frustrating.
Try something else.
It's like, come on, guys. You're very... Like, that's why I can't watch horror movies. It's like, I love horror as like a genre, but so many of those kinds of movies, be it in music or presentation, rely on the same kind of tricks to scare you or make you feel uncomfortable. And the moment you recognize that, it's just like, oh, we're doing this again? Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
It doesn't... Like, you can't even enjoy it anymore because you're just like, oh, this again. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's hard to get, like, the intended feeling from it. Dead Space, I think, was so unique because it had other things working for it as well. Like, Dead Space does so, like, well as far as, like, a horror game is concerned, because it went back to, like, this long, like, narrow hallways, and then they put you in the situations where you're in actual real danger, not just, like, perceived danger. Like, Dead Space excels so well at just generating a perfect tone for you, and, like, the ambient noise helps to a point. Like, even if they're relying on, like, tropes, like the violins thing, I think they used that at, like, the final boss as a thing. But like, even with that, like, Dead Space has so many other things working towards it to kind of help generate that feeling. And it works. Because they're trying to kind of, like, go back to the roots of what the stuff was, and they're trying to do new and interesting ideas with it. Which I think you don't see in a lot of horror games that tend to do the same thing. Like, Five Nights at Freddy's, for example, is one of the laziest fucking things ever. Like, yeah, just jump scare people, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, why bother putting effort in creating ambient?
I hate how it still worked out in the end for that game.
Yeah,
it should have.
That's why I appreciate games like Amnesia. That, like, they do kind of the same thing of, like, they're really working on creating this, like, ambient feeling of dread. And, like, why FNAF works is because it's just you're stuck in this one place you can't move, and that dread is just from, like, being stuck there. But I think there's other ways to create that kind of atmosphere, and music is such an integral part of that. That a lot of games either don't do or can't. Like, I think what Dead Space does really well is, like, they have, like, the enemies that you can, like, how different enemies show up or, like, what they do or can do to you really helps with that. So you get, like, the hunter, like, the regenerating one.
You will be anticipating, and then you'll be always scared out of your wits.
Yeah, Dead Space 2 does the best with
You
that.
never know what we'll do.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever play the second one, Yui? Like, Dead Space 2?
Lamau, I haven't completed one.
What happened?
Oh, or my KSL, thank you for the follow. I missed what you said, Yui.
Oh, I didn't even finish number 1, let alone go to number 2.
2 is way better. I think you'd like it. Because 2 plays off your fears from the first game as well. And it does it so well. And the music is very... They have some really good music. Actually, speaking of Dead Space, they do a thing that I love in music. And I will play a bit of it on stream because it's just... You talk something that tickles my lizard brain. I like when music to generate like this kind of dread or like how... To give you an idea of like how something is supposed to be like dramatic or intense. They rely a lot heavily on like the low brass, like the tubas and trombones and stuff. And Dead Space 3 has this thing at the very end of the game when you're going like to fight the final boss, where they kind of do this, where they have like this lower, like almost a bois sound in a sense, but they have like an actual melody that goes with it. So you have the trombones and tubas are creating this like dreaded like low sound, and then you complement that with the higher trumpets creating a more like higher melody that kind of builds on itself over time. And it's just great. I love it. It does so well. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Because it's, I think it's Moon Crash, Dead Space 3. I'm trying to remember exactly where it is in the song. Because most of it is just to generate, like, this tense feeling. Where is it at? I think it's, like, maybe... Fuck, where is it in the song? I don't remember.
Take your time, don't worry.
No,
Wait, I'm hearing
not
it.
that.
While he's looking for it, I'll ask a quick question. If you guys could learn a totally different instrument, one that's like completely unrelated to your instrument or musical tastes now, what would it be?
That's a good question.
Kazoo. AC, please.
Or the kazoo. Come in like Suko G.
I'm learning it now.
But no, I mean one that you're not learning now. It's something totally different
shit.
from what you've done now.
Hmm.
I think I'd like to learn some more stringed instruments. Like I haven't ever like spent a lot of time with string and stuff. I feel like cello would be a really cool thing to
I
learn.
wanna blow.
You want to blow?
I wanna blow. Because today I've learned that those things require like different blowing when we have some blowing, and I really want to try to blow like the sassy saxophone man, you know, trusting my hips as I blow. Bump, 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 bump.
Yeah, epic sax guy, let's go. Eurobeat sax, let's go.
I want to do it, yeah. Wait, am I gonna do it? Oh shit, wait, can I?
Sax can be fun. I want to pick that back up eventually.
Yeah. That's why I wanna be sassy as cool as him. That's why I asked you in the first place about how these things work, because I am, yes, very curious.
I think saxes in a lot of woodwind instruments, with the exception of flute, tend to be a little easier to like manage than brass does, because the mouthpiece does more of the work for you than your lips do when it comes to woodwind stuff. So like with
I want to apologize if you heard the word wrongly from me, because I have an ulcer right now. I might missay some words. Yeah, sax can be fun. Saxophone. Sax.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, you know what they say? They say always wear a strap and practice safe sax.
Wait, what?
Yes. Good job, Harune. I love it. Beautiful.
That's what they said in high school all the time. They had band shirts that said practice safe sax. And I was like, okay, I guess.
Oh.
Look, it's not my fault that band kids like drills and are horny.
It's like one big incestual family.
Yay.
I did not attend band camp. No.
Oh my god. Band is something. All the memes you hear about it, it's like, as somebody who was in like marching band and stuff for a long time, like, yeah, a lot of that's true. A lot of that is basically what it was. It's a mess.
So I don't know any.
So I think I found
some?
band stories. Well, we had people fucking in the back of the bus on trips.
Oh Jesus!
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
There was that.
What?
You did not.
This could happen.
That's a thing.
That's the thing.
Yes.
You did not go
Oh
into the
my
drum room,
God.
and you did not sit on the couch in said drum room because either it was full of weed or it had stains of an unknown origin, or rather, we all knew what the stains were from. Yeah.
Camp stories are the worst stories, and they always start with, "Yep, one time at band camp."
That is a real thing.
Yes.
What?
It is sad how true that is.
I don't think there's a single lie. I don't
At,
think there's a
at all, I
single-
can't think of one. Like all the stuff that I remember
Nope,
seeing, like movies,
bad
meaning about, like
thing.
no, that's how band was. Yeah, that was a real thing.
Welcome,
People-
Yui.
Wait, an American Pie? Holy shit, that wow? God damn.
No,
Oh my God,
no.
you guys are
Kat.
crazy.
Someone's playing the fucking sax, that's for sure. Yeah. There was a
Yeah.
lot of that. It kind of became like a meme. Like I had the unfortunate pleasure of being like the one motherfucker stuck on the couples bus.
Oh god.
And I was like, oh no. Why am I stuck on the couples bus? This is so awful. Yep.
Do you hear those in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had a trip once when I was
Oh my God.
I think it was when I was like a sophomore in high school where we went to like Ocala, Florida to go play in like a thing. And I was on the couples bus for most of that, and that was a like maybe a 5-6 hour drive. Oh boy. That was that was something.
Oh no.
My
Gross.
high school time was an interesting experience, to say the least.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's gross. It's very gross. Everybody's horny at band camp. You need better role models.
I was lucky enough to like be able to do band in high school, but like we didn't have like if we wanted to participate in band camp, because we were the first of our year for our high school program, so we would all have to like go to our home schools to participate in band camp. So like I had a bunch of friends from one high school, and they did that band camp through that school, and then I just like took band as a class, like in my high school program, but never went to my home school for band camp. So I was like, ha, suck it, bye.
Yeah. The
So
way our band camp
I
worked
avoid-
was like if you were
You
in
guys
marching
are
band, you were required
wild.
to be there. So you'd show up, and it was like it was like a week-long thing where you would show up at like 8 a.m. and you'd be there until about 6-7 p.m. or something. And it was
and because
rough.
that was because your high school like had to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think if I had taken band and I was in like my original high school, I would have had to do band camp. I think that would have been like a requirement. But because I sort of I tested out of my home high school and went to a different high school that was too small to have its own band camp. So I got to avoid it.
And
I
Probably
was
for the
so glad. I was like, yes!
As
have
someone
my
who spent time at band camp on multiple years in a row, I can tell you it's not a fun experience. Band camp fucking sucks.
it's not.
No, it was miserable.
Oh.
You're out there in the heat, like doing like because we were a marching band, right? So we would do like marching drills. So you would
Yeah, you
like, there
march
were
drills.
exercises, you'd run laps, you'd have to like play your instrument while like doing stuff standing at attention and like I was from South Georgia, mind you, and it's like 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside every day in the middle of the summer, and you're doing this for 5 days straight. It's fucking awful.
Disgusting.
But you know,
Yeah, doesn't sound fun now.
that was what I did for 4 years.
Not fun.
It
And
was
that's
miserable.
probably why like the kids were as wild as they were, because the actual drills themselves were so miserable that like they were like, I will do whatever I want when I'm here
Yeah, that
outside
sounds
of these
about right.
drills.
That sounds pretty much exactly like what I remember band being like.
Whatever I want, and yeah.
So
That was-
I found I think roughly where this is in the song of the thing that I really like, where they kind of complement the like low brass with the high brass stuff, because this is just the things I really like a lot. So I'm gonna play a little section of this. It's like here you're gonna start off with like, the low brass stuff, and then they start adding in like parts over time with it as it builds up. It's a cool little melody. So they establish the melody first, and then they go into this part where they actually like build on it over and over. This is what I listen to in my spare time. In any of the trumpets, like kind of redoing that same melody over on top of it. So you hear like the sections with like the tubas. It's kind of like really hard to hear because they're kind of like in that middle section between the melody. And then it goes like to the actual like the melody thing they're trying to, like the same bar they're repeating, and then they add like, they start off with like the trombones and stuff, like the middle brass, and then you have like the section with the low brass kind of supporting it behind, and then the trumpets come in like over it, so you have this nice like blend of like this lower and higher sound that I'm just like, ooh, yeah, that's good. I like that.
Ooh.
I like, it was such a memorable thing of like when I was playing the game, I was like, what is this song? I need to find this later. You'll be surprised at like how much of the music I listen to actually comes from like that kind of experience of just, I hear something in a game and I'm like, who does this? Where does this come from?
Right, especially in a game where like you're focusing on gameplay and you're like, what was that?
Yeah.
What was that? Give me it.
It's so important, so. I feel like, because it's so few times where like I feel like a game or a movie actually captures my like attention with its music. Like I really appreciate it when like a song or a composition can really just stand out as like,
as it should. That's the thing. It should.
Like it shouldn't pull your attention away from whatever you're doing, but you should be able to remember it and like recall the theme. Yeah, it should work in tandem with it. Absolutely. And some of the songs and stuff that I like a lot more tend to be things that do that really well, especially like for like music from movies anyway. Or video games, just stuff that complements whatever you're going through. Where like, yeah, you know the music, and it's just emphasizing your experience as opposed to like focusing on one thing versus the other.
Actually, one game that really did this, until today I remembered all of this theme. I think it's Kingdom Hearts 2. They did really well. Like, you know, the 13 struggle with Roxas fighting for his life. You know, it brings the panic that he has during the boss fight with Axel the first time. It was such an epic theme, but you could also tell the desperation behind him.
Yeah.
As he tries to fight for his life.
I begrudgingly have to compliment Kingdom Hearts on one thing, which is that its music is fucking great. It's a bop.
Yeah!
Like, I don't care for Kingdom Hearts on most other fronts, but its music is fucking great. So, I've always thought about how great the music is for that, and I'm like, this... Or I've not always said it on stream, but like, in general, like, I don't dislike how Kingdom Hearts has done its composition by any means. They do a good blend of like the Disney songs and stuff, but they also have their own unique and interesting direction. And most of it is pretty memorable.
Yeah.
Like, even now, like I played the shit out of Kingdom Hearts 1, and I still remember some of like the boss themes and stuff from it that just stand out. It's a really unique composition. And each world has its own like unique feel and direction that I think really works, but it doesn't feel so distant from one another that it's like a different kind of soundtrack, if you will. Like, it does feel consistent, but it has its own uniqueness to it. It has its own flair. And I really, really liked that about how they compose things.
Yeah, like, it's been a long time Kingdom Hearts, but you're absolutely right. They're
that's why I'm so impressed with it.
In each environment. Yes.
Yeah, like they do a very good job with that. I'm trying to think of like other games that have like really memorable soundtracks that just stand out. Even if I don't like the game itself, like I'm trying to think of like something that really stands out.
Final Fantasy VII in the mouth?
I wish I'd actually listened to the soundtrack from Final Fantasy VII so I could talk about it.
What the fuck? I mean,
I'm sorry, Yui. I haven't listened to it yet. I meant to. It's on there. Fucking Gravity Rush. That's one that a lot of people don't know about, but I've talked about this soundtrack for so long because it's one of the things that I remembered from the game that's so fucking good. They have
Gravity
like...
Rush had pretty good ones too, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Like, I actually have the physical copy of the soundtrack for Gravity Rush 2, and it's 4 discs long. It's huge.
Wow.
They have like for different districts and areas of... Oh, you should. It's so much better than the first one. They did everything.
Wait, really?
Correct. Yeah, it's like twice the size of it. The music is like remastered and done so much better. In fact, fuck it. I'm gonna play one of my favorite tracks, which is from the Entertainment District. It's just like, you know, like bumping,
I see.
like jazzy tune. It's just really bopping.
Bop.
Like,
Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's up on stream now.
Oh, wow. I like it.
This shit slaps. And you're talking about like jazz, like violin. Like, here we go. Like, this is so unique, and I love this.
This is endearing. I love this.
It's such a bop. I'll go hang out in like this entertainment district so much. It's just like, yeah, dude, yes. But they also have like themes for characters that they'll bring back in later. So like they have like Kat's theme, which kind of gets incorporated like as part of the lore too. So like they have the actual like theme for her, but then it shows up in game as a canon thing. It's like she sings it at like at like some event or whatever, and then it becomes like part of her like lore and history as a character. It's so fucking interesting, and I've never seen a game that like puts so much care into crafting just dozens upon dozens of like really interesting tracks that have their own unique, like interesting direction. Sometimes they'll go really dramatic and they'll incorporate like character themes like into the battle music. So if you play as like Kat, you'll have like maybe some version of like her stuff will come in. They'll have like a villain theme that comes in. It's always stood out to me. It's like one of the best soundtracks for any game I've heard in recent year.
Oh man, now I feel like playing Gravity Rush too. Wait, what platform?
It's PS4 only. Sadly,
Really? So it's not that old.
yeah, it's not old at all. And what's a big shame about this game, because I've talked about this game before on stream, and people who are regulars will know me have talked about it. Sony killed its online capabilities after a year of the game being released. They were trying to kill it earlier, in fact, and the fans were so vocal about please don't that they extended it for 6 months. So Sony has like not done this series any favors. Like at all, because the game had like this really interesting, like, because they just didn't think it was worth it. It was like it didn't sell as well as like other stuff, even though the game does so much interesting shit, like including like music and stuff.
Yeah, I played Gravity Rush 1. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, like it's so interesting. And Gravity Rush 2 was just like I bought it like on a whim, like back in like 2015 or 16 whenever it came out. I don't remember. And I just fell in love with it. And then like when the game's like online capabilities were like discontinued, like you lost like parts of the game are no longer accessible now. Like functions in the game because they cut all on capability, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is so, like, why did you do this? It sucks. Like it's one of the things of like when I was kind of getting at earlier of like how sometimes as consumers we don't reward, like either movies or games or creators who try to do like experimental or interesting things, and so when those things don't succeed, like they never get made again, and then they always rely on the formula stuff because that's what makes the money. Or like Disney does this like formulaic bullshit all the time because we get like live action like Lion King movie is one of the most successful animated films of all time, and that is a crime because that movie is fucking terrible. And it's just like we shouldn't, as consumers, we shouldn't be rewarding that kind of behavior because that's what's fostering this kind of idea where something like Gravity Rush or like Song of the Sea, which is like the movie that I really like that has the same kind of thing of just like, these are things that are trying to do something unique. They're interesting. They're like homages to the cultures they're from, or they're trying to create a world, and something just really stands out, and then they don't do all that well. And they're like, well, guess that was a failure. Guess we won't do that ever again.
But it's like, no, you have to like read between the lines, and like, sure, it's not kitschy and popular, but like, go online, read people's opinions, like people who know what they're talking about, know quality when they see, like, don't.
I wish we would reward quality over just like things, because like this is something I've argued with Orgama about this before, and it's just like a common thing for me of like I do not measure success as money. Like just because something made a lot of money does not mean that it is good in my mind. It doesn't necessarily make it bad, but like I mean you could look at movies like say Transformers or Fast and the Furious, and these movies are generally pretty fucking bad, like just in general. But they make a fuckload of money, and that's why they keep making them. Is because they're monetarily successful. But in my brain, I'm like, as somebody who appreciates when something is well crafted, it's so frustrating to see that well crafted stuff doesn't get as much recognition as it should. Like Moonlight, you mentioned earlier, is one of those like, it was created by like African American directors and had starring actors from that, people that we didn't know about. It's a really well done movie, and it got almost no attention. And then something like, say, Black Panther, that has an African-American lead, but the movie itself doesn't stand out from other Marvel movies. Like, it's very generic in comparison to, like, most other Marvel films. It's just the same shit, right? Like, the music is the same, the character writing is the same, the effects are the same, in some places kind of worse. But, like, we herald that, but it's like, you have a movie here, like Moonlight, that did so much, that was so interesting, and we should have been rewarding that, but instead we went to, we'll go support Marvel in the same movies that they've always been making. But we're going to pretend like it's something that's actually unique or groundbreaking when it isn't.
And, like, it is not that they didn't do some justice. Like,
they did some stuff right, for sure.
Like, some of the costumes were super bright and colorful, and it was very unique visually. in some aspects, but like, yeah, we're sort of forgetting that like Marvel is still a big company. There's still like quotas that they have to meet, so formulas that they are going to follow, and like, you know, it's not going to be as unique as, you know, when you upon first watch, you're like, oh, in comparison to other Marvel movies, this one is so much more cultural. It's like, wait, no, listen to the sentence you just said. Like, in comparison to other Marvel movies. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's always one thing that's frustrating me, because I feel like it's like dancing a very dangerous line with like Black Panther specifically, but I'm like, no, it's just because it's a generic Marvel movie. Like, that's why I don't like it, because it's just, it doesn't do anything that interesting in comparison to the others. But then you have other movies that tried to do something interesting, and we didn't even reward them for that. And
Shit, I'm a basic bitch for Marvel movies. Oh god.
I mean,
Well,
I've watched them too. I've
you
paid
can't
money to
even
see them. It's fine.
You know what I mean? That's the thing, is that like, it's not that these formulas don't work. The reason why they've continued for so long is because they do work, and there's nothing wrong with you if you like that. You know what I mean?
Like, I would never want to tell people that you're wrong for enjoying something. Like, enjoy whatever you like. Like, that's totally fine. But for me, just like, what I personally like to reward as like a consumer is something that tries a little harder. And, well, yeah, I'll go watch dumb, generic, shitty movies. Like, I watched, like, In-Game in theaters. Like, I've watched really... Like, I paid for fucking Monster Hunter, and I watched that in theaters. Like, that movie was terrible. I paid for Transformers movies when some of them came out. Like, yeah, I've contributed to this in many... In certain regards, I'm talking to myself with that. But, like, when it comes to, like, music and direction and quality content, I like to reward stuff that, like, in general, really tried to do something unique. Even if it doesn't always work, it's trying to do something that's not formulaic. Not that those formulas are bad, but, you know.
Right, like I said, they continue because it works. It, like, and I feel it even when I'm watching a Marvel movie myself. Like, I have not seen a lot of Marvel movies, and that's been like a very line drawn in the sand sort of decision that I've made, that like, even though I'll probably, like, it'll probably suck me in, I'll probably enjoy it while I'm sitting there watching it, but like, I know what it's doing to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's tapping into those like basic things, like certain formula, like certain even their jokes are formulaic, and it's like,
yeah, it happens.
When it happens, yet it still works. Like, I had a friend, one of my high school friends actually worked on Endgame. You can see his name in the credits. But it's like, so it's like, obviously, and you know, and he was very passionate about like movie production and like, you know, what goes into making a movie. So it's not like there aren't people there who like, you know, aren't passionate and who don't see like the time and effort that goes into it. But like, once again, and of course I can appreciate that, and all the people who have worked so hard on the teams for this, but it's still like you said, it's still formulaic. Doesn't mean it doesn't work.
Yeah, but I mean, these things work for a reason, and we all kind of like, you know, we go and pay money for this because we like to see, you know, fun things on screen. But I feel like just we should also be paying money to go support other things that don't necessarily do that. And like, I am 100% of the camp that like, things don't have to appeal to everyone. I think that's like a big mindset within the gaming and with like music and filmmaking, is that sometimes directors or executives feel like they need to make something that appeals to the broadest audience, which sounds great on paper, right? But I think that sometimes you kind of lose the through line of what it could have been. That like, instead of being kind of mediocre to everyone, you could do something really, really well to a smaller group of people. And while that might not necessarily be as monetarily successful, I feel like there's a lot of merit in that, because it's creating an environment for people to kind of explore different ideas. Or if you're trying to create something for everyone, there's just a formula that works for a lot of people, and you can't really deviate from that. So like, when I look at movies like Marvel, it's like, I wonder how much creative freedom do these people have to do what they want to do, to be experimental, to try something different, when the executives of Disney are like, no, that's not going to make us money. That's a risk. And I mean, we've seen that happen before. Like, Joss Whedon complained about it directly when he was directing like Avengers, like Ultron. Was he constantly was butting heads with the executives for Disney about the direction of the film, of what needed to be in it.
To the Chinese market.
Oh my god, that hurts so much.
Gotta keep it big. So they can follow, and it's not too hard on the brain.
And then our one like movie that could have tailored to that audience would have been Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of that. But yeah, this has been an interesting conversation. I wish we could continue on, but I know you've got some stuff to do, and I'm sure Harune, you've got things to work on as well. But this has been a lot of fun. I certainly appreciate talking music with you guys, because it's been a while since I've managed to like talk to people who kind of know what I'm getting at with things when it comes to music. It's just I kind of like re-at my streams a lot of the time about it, so it's good to have people to like understand like why certain things frustrate me. Yeah, they are popcorn movies.
I completely do.
It's a vent sesh for musicians.
Yeah.
That's what all my stuff is. Like, you can't have an Obsidian stream without there being a little bit of salt. There's always that.
Understandable. Have a great day.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks again for hanging out.